12 straight victory Mondays, victory whatever, victory Fridays, victory Tuesdays, victory Sundays, victory Saturdays, victory Mondays. This year it'll be one of those to where it'll be a victory Tuesday, a victory Friday, a victory Thursday, a victory Saturday, a victory Sunday. The only day we will not have a victory day will be a Wednesday, but then they will have a game that they will play that particular day. If you follow my drift, it's just simply what they do. It's the old Fresno State line when it was any place, any team, anytime, anywhere. Chiefs, any day, any time, any opponent right now, it doesn't matter. They are winning games or finding ways to win. And the last 2 weeks, as opposed to the previous 4, they're winning and they're not making it close. They're finding ways to be a little more comfortable there in the fourth quarter. You're not stressing about, my God, are they? No way they lose this game. Come on, man. I can't be talking about tomorrow and going, how did they lose that particular game? Like, that can't be the conversation. And that wasn't yesterday. I felt early on when that game was going on, I'm like, Chiefs are going to win this game. I just don't know what the final score is going to be. But I don't think there's going to be any nervous feeling in the fourth quarter. That was even with them losing 3-0. Like, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, there is a clear better team on the field right now.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that have happened that haven't gone the Chiefs' way, but there is a clear better team. And the Chiefs showed that over the course of 4 quarters, and they are now 6-0. They have a full 2-game lead over every other team in the AFC. They have 11 games to play this season, and they still have 2 against the Raiders, 2 against the Broncos, 1 against Carolina, 1 against Cleveland, and another game against the Chargers. And that game at home. That could easily be 7 wins right there of the final 11. That would give them 13 already. If you just simply take care of the teams you should take care of. That would leave Buffalo, Houston, Tampa, and Pittsburgh as the other 4 games. Legit 9-2 is a very real record the rest of the way. I think 8-3, you get the first seed. Even if those 3 losses might be Buffalo or Houston.
Sure.
Because if you were to lose to Buffalo and Houston, and you only have 3 losses on the season, they would then have to only lose 1 game the rest of the way. They already have 2 losses, you would have 3. To have the tiebreaker, they could only have 3. That means they would have to go only 1 loss the rest of the year for both of those teams to get the 1 seed to utilize the tiebreaker. Even if you were to lose to Buffalo and Houston along the way, getting to 8-3. Now, I just gave you 7 games. 2 against Las Vegas, 2 against Denver, 1 against Carolina, 1 against Cleveland, 1 against the Chargers. I gave you 7 of them right there. And in my mind, 8-3 gets the 1 seed. That's what's happened while the AFC is sort of cannibalizing themselves, and a new kicker for the Packers getting a field goal through the uprights as time expires. A man who hasn't made a field goal in how long or whatever?
It was like a year.
Like 400 days or something like that. And he puts it through the uprights twice. 1 on a practice kick, 1 on the regular kick.
The real one got a little nervy.
Yeah, exactly, right.
The practice one was dead center.
Right.
Get a little nervous there.
Yeah. I know that we can throw in, Pittsburgh's 5-2 as well, so if one of those losses is to Pittsburgh, then, yeah, okay, cool. You think about Pittsburgh only losing 1 game the rest of the way, and tell me how that works out for you. You count Pittsburgh as a team going 14-3. All right, let's see what happens. You go ahead and place money on that. I'll live in reality. I'll live in the real world. All right, when people stop, when people stop being nice and start getting real. All right, I'm gonna live in the real world here. All right.
I just feel like everyone who went into the season and then after all the injuries to Rashid, to Isaiah, to Hollywood, to Juju in this game, let me go ahead and just quote Mark Twain.
Go ahead, do it. Quote Mark Twain. I've been wanting to quote Mark Twain all day.
The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated.
I thought it was demise. Is it death? Demise?
It looks like it says death is the actual real one.
Was it really?
So I think demise was just thrown in there because...
It sounds classier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Demise is such a classier word than death.
So...
untimely
it
demise
was actually
is also
Samuel
more classy.
Clemens, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How about that? It wasn't Mark Twain this whole time.
We're a classy show.
You know,
We're
you
a
got to
classy
mark
show.
the Twain for how deep the river is. You dip that Twain, that rope down there, and then you mark it for when it stops. You go ahead and mark that
I was
Twain.
just saying that
I'm just
people
saying,
thought...
yes, the reports of the demise of the Chiefs for 3 years running were greatly exaggerated. Buffalo's 5-2. The Houston Texans are 5-2. The Ravens are 4-2. I should put them in there. I mentioned Houston and Buffalo, but again, the Chiefs have the tiebreaker over Baltimore already.
Correct.
They've got a 3-game lead on the Ravens with, again, 2 versus the Raiders, 2 versus the Broncos, 1 against Carolina, 1 against Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland, which might make them better, and
If they go
1 against
Jameis
the
Winston,
Chargers.
they would be better, yeah.
Yeah.
DTR, though? Not so
DTR?
much.
Yeah, I'm not. My nephew texted it when it happened. He's like, "What are the odds that on the day that they move Jameis Winston to the emergency quarterback and DTR is the backup, that's when Deshaun Watson tears his Achilles?"
It's like the Brian Winters.
It's
Though.
like-
Why is that? Why?
What happened this week as to why all of a sudden Jameis Winston is the third string? It's like, I think that Achilles is about to go. I can see that Achilles is about to go. And then people rightfully so booed Deshaun Watson on his way out. No matter what Myles Garrett had to say. Looking like a damn fool up there. A well-dressed fool, Myles Garrett. A really rich fool, Myles Garrett. That's A&M for you. I mean, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, you go to A&M, you got the fake cadets, you got the rich fools. A lot of them. So the Chiefs get a win. They don't necessarily find a way to win in this one. They were just simply the better team. And I'm starting to think that Kyle Shanahan can't beat Andy Reid. I don't know what it is, but I'm starting to think that Andy Reid will continue to sun Kyle Shanahan just as Mahomes sunned Mufasa or Mustafa, whichever one.
Did you see
know?
his?
Dude, it
I
might be
will
part of my
say-
learned funniest best. It might be my
Mine too,
funniest.
okay.
It might be one of my. It might be my funniest. I don't know. There's other funniest that I've had from this weekend. It was a fun weekend. It was a funny weekend.
Great response though by Mustafa. He
Dude,
took
legit,
it in
man.
stride.
I liked
Took
him.
it in
I like him a lot
stride.
more. I like
Yeah.
him a lot. I didn't like how he came up and was running around like a heat-seeking missile and hitting Kareem Hunt and hitting
man.
Xavier Worthy, and I didn't like that. You know, I liked that Mahomes laid him out as sort of a taste of his own medicine, and then I found myself liking him even more when he went to Twitter and did that. If you haven't seen, he put the meme out there of the, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting cooked right now. And he was getting cooked. I could not believe that Mahomes sunned him. Truck stick. Do they still have the truck stick? They still have the truck stick in Madden and stuff?
I don't know.
I haven't played Madden
The
in a long
one
time, man.
the one I have, because I'm not spending $60 for a roster update. I'll find a way. Like I'll
Not going to upload on the connected to the interwebs.
I
And,
do
get a
that.
roster
I
update.
connected to the. That's how I do. I'm not paying $60 for that. I'm sorry.
Hey,
It's the same game.
I'm with you. Exactly. It's the same game. I just, it's the different players along the way. 913-912-4810. We'll take your phone calls today as well. 913-381-0810. Phone lines open till noon. Field Yates comes up at noon. We'll hear from Andy Reid today. And Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Jack Johnson is in San Francisco still, as he was at the game yesterday, covering the game. Great coverage post game yesterday. We were listening to a lot of it on the drive as Little Man had a baseball tournament this weekend. So great stuff from Jack Johnson out there covering the game for us, and we'll catch up with him on Wednesday. But Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. As do we deem this week it'll get handled when it gets handled week for Mahomes and the Kermit the Frog and the Raiders stuff? This is the week that it'll get handled when it gets handled.
You know what's great?
It'll get handled when it gets handled week. This is the week it'll get handled.
What's great is with the way Mahomes has played this season, which has been by far his worst of his
Yes.
NFL career, like the odds are going to be so great for 300-plus yards and like 3 touchdowns. Think of that. If
he's
he was
going
playing,
to throw for 180 and 1 touchdown and an interception, and they're going to win by 21.
No.
I mean, just like that's been the theme of the season
against the Raiders, though.
I know,
This
I
is
know.
If there's ever a game that I'm like, I'm throwing money on Mahomes for all the overs. I've not done it yet this year.
Yeah, I did it the first couple of weeks and I stopped.
I will do it against the Raiders for this reason because they're all going to be low. There's going to be some juice.
Yeah, once bitten, twice shy. I was twice bitten, 4 times shy.
Great song by Great White.
That's what I was thinking too.
I figured that's where you're going with.
Yes, for sure. It is also crazy that the odds-on favorite to win the MVP is still Mahomes.
Yeah.
Then Josh Allen, then Lamar, then Jared Goff, then C.J. Stroud, then Jordan Love, then Jaden Daniels, then Sam Darnold, then Joe Burrow, then Brock Purdy, then Jalen Hurts, and Baker, then Kyler. I put a little change before the season on Kyler Murray just because I thought it might be fun.
C.J. Stroud. I needed him to win that game yesterday.
Yep. I was feeling good the first couple of weeks with Kyler Murray. I was like, dude, this guy is on fire, and I'm feeling good about that. I'm not feeling so good anymore. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that might be a wasted couple of bucks. But, you throw some change here or there. You know what? Noah Gray and Kareem Hunt helped me out this week, and I think it was okay. We told you guys on Friday.
Yes.
We said, look, I will tell you things. I will never give you advice. I'll just tell you things that I'm thinking of. And on Friday, I think Matt Derrick was in with us, and I said, look, right now you can go online and find 25-plus yards receiving for Noah Gray at plus 250. And you can get him at 40 yards receiving at plus 500. I'm just saying if you want to go down that road, if you want to. I'm not saying you should. I'm not running a tout service. I'm just telling you this is something I will be doing.
Yes.
And I will be laddering Kareem Hunt on 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. Not going to put money on him just to get 90, because then if he doesn't get it, you don't get any. But if I ladder it, throw some change on 50, throw change on 60, throw change on 70, throw change on 80 and 90, 2 yards away from having a phenomenal day. But nobody cares about those things. But they do care about the fact that without the wide receiver core that we thought it was going to be, I think what we saw against the Chiefs, against the 49ers, we saw for the Chiefs against the 49ers, is the thing that we'll be seeing the rest of the year until or unless they make a move at a wide receiver that can make some sort of a difference on the team and not just another name to plug and place, another name to throw in there that's not Sky Moore, which would be fine.
Who played, by the way, 33 snaps.
Yeah,
Sky Moore played 33
he
snaps.
played 47% of the snaps. I mean, looking at percentage-wise, he played almost half the damn game.
Third most of any wide receiver.
Yeah. It was Watson, Xavier, and then Sky.
A lot more than McCole Hardman.
Yeah, and obviously Juju only played 10% of the snaps because of the injury. It would have been Juju and Justin Watson up there as the highest with that. But that is one of the themes we've seen of this season too, is that through 6 games, there have already been 5 different receivers show up into the top 3 of snap counts for a particular game. Obviously, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then Sky Moore yesterday is the 5th different receiver. There in 6 games, there have been 3 different receivers lead the team in snap counts in a game. Through 6 games, there's already been 3 different ones: Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Justin Watson. I mean, Justin Watson the last 2 games has led the Chiefs in snap counts for wide receivers. The last 2 games. And his 1 target, 8 yards, with the most snaps for a wide receiver in the game. That's what you're dealing with right now. You're dealing with 9 targets going to Gray and Kelsey. You're dealing with 8 targets trying to get it to Xavier Worthy, even though he only caught 3 of them. One that was there right out of halftime. Mahomes missed him. I didn't think you could overthrow Xavier Worthy, but you can. And then the interception from Mahomes to Xavier Worthy that was unfortunate. One of those unlucky things that happens. He had already thrown the ball when Xavier Worthy trips and falls. Worthy also got manhandled by the defender. But that was one of the criticisms on Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Is his size, that he might get manhandled a little bit. Although 5 yards down the field, you shouldn't be getting manhandled like that. It should be at the line of scrimmage with press coverage. 5 yards down the field, you can't pull and push and sort of turn and change directions. They did. They didn't see it. He tripped and fell. Interception. It's unlucky. Both of those interceptions for Patrick Mahomes were more unlucky than the first couple of weeks of the season where you went, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why would you throw that? Like, what are you seeing with that? These are, I think it was Justin Watson that he was throwing to on the interception down at the 19-yard line. He was open. Ball's batted in the air, and then the same dude catches it. That sucks. That's unlucky. And then, the one to Xavier Worthy where he trips and falls. I don't know if Xavier Worthy would have got there, but I doubt it would have been intercepted at that particular time. But those interceptions to me are more unlucky and correctable than it is, what the heck is he seeing? Why is he getting happy feet? What did he do? Leave that pocket. Oh, he's throwing back across the field. He's throwing across his body. You know that thing we used to talk about all the time with quarterbacks before Holmes came in and said, yeah, that's not a thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
You shouldn't throw back across your body.
But that guy's open, and I can hit him, so I'm going to do it.
No. You shouldn't throw back across your body. I'm going to be just fine doing that.
I do find it interesting, just a funny tidbit. He now has back-to-back weeks, a defensive tackle has intercepted Patrick Mahomes.
That is crazy.
Back-to-back weeks, a defensive tackle has intercepted Mahomes.
I don't think those things are going to continue. I don't know. Maybe I don't know ball, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think defense. That's the point about when everybody is getting their victory laps right now, which is odd because the Chiefs are 6-0, but people are getting their victory laps on how Mahomes is playing right now. And then, more evidence of, see, this is all Andy Reid and it's all defense. Mahomes has been a system quarterback forever. When he had Tyreek and Sammy and Travis Kelce, put up great numbers. Now he doesn't have those guys. Now he's just system quarterback, not good. Look at the throw to McCole Hardman down at the goal line. Missed him. Easy throw. We're talking about the Chiefs winning, and your quarterback's doing that. Well, yeah, if you do know ball, you know that typically quarterbacks will throw to a spot, and there's a timing to that, and then we see that McCole Hardman slipped, which Mahomes is throwing it to where the timing is going to be with McCole, a play they probably practiced 100 times. McCole slips. If he doesn't slip, that one extra step at McCole's speed, it hits him in the hands and he scores. But if we're not looking at the slip and we're just simply looking at Mahomes missing it, because my thought was, oh my God, dude, I wasn't even close. Then you see him slip and you're like, all right, cool. And then Mahomes goes ahead and without that, was that the same one where we got the truck stick against Mustafa? Because I think after that we had Kareem Hunt get stopped, which would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they blew it dead for some reason, even though he was still moving.
Correct.
But thankfully they did.
That was a lot in the NFL, by the way. They did that a lot yesterday with the Steelers game too.
Yeah.
They were. I don't know if that's just.
Well,
they're blowing it dead. It seems a little earlier
at the goal line.
I don't know if there's a reason for that.
Because Jordan Mason, like the next possession, was running to the left, got pulled back. He was being pulled backwards and trying to go, but his momentum had been stopped. And then he slipped off and picked up another 4 yards, and the official just walked up for it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And if it was Philly or Buffalo, then the play goes on for 30 seconds.
You're not wrong.
It's a tush push.
Play's never over.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Never over.
You're not wrong. But the Chiefs do it again. They get a win, find different ways to do it, and different guys stepping up. Now, as we talk about this being a team that has been thriving on defense, that has been thriving on running the football, it does suck that this Jalen Watson injury looks like it's going to be potentially season-ending. The report is he fractured his ankle from Ian Rapper report this morning. He'll have additional tests. The additional tests are to see the extent of the damage and a timeline. If it is possible, as the report says, if it is possible for Jalen Watson to return this season. Now, it is more of a possibility for a player like Jalen Watson to return this season playing for the Chiefs than it would be for the Panthers, because the Chiefs might be playing in February and not the first week in January being over. You get an extra month, typically.
Yeah.
At least from the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes every year but one. You have an extra week to get healthier. Every year but two. You've got an extra week to get healthier, 2 weeks really, to get healthier and play a game. So it is more of a possibility that Jalen Watson will play, but that sucks, man, because you were just talking about it last week, and it was a great point. It was a great observation, and something that we didn't have to talk about through 5 weeks, in that this number 2 cornerback that we had wondered about all offseason, they trade L'Jarius Sneed. They get the third rounder, which should be a top 70 pick.
Yeah.
In the draft, with the third rounder being the Titans, thankfully. I know, they're all that Mason Rudolph talk and everything, but whatever. Like, it could be like a top 70 pick, and who's going to be the cornerback too? And Jalen Watson stepped up admirably, had separated himself, and I was hoping it was just cramps again.
Yeah.
Because when he originally got hurt, I'm like, oh no. It looked like he's holding his knee. It was cramps. Then he went down and held his leg again. They came back in. It looked like they were touching his calf, but I guess they were touching lower on the calf near the ankle, which sucks. When it went to break, the last thing we saw was their hands near the calf. I'm like, all right, another cramp. Cool. Man, I wish it was another cramp. I wish it was just that, but that was not the case. And the Chiefs now have to find somebody to be cornerback 2 that they needed to be cornerback 3, which means cornerback 4 needs to be cornerback 3, and you start to stretch that depth of the cornerback position.
Well, and I feel for Jalen Watson first because he played through a torn labrum last year.
And worked all off season to come back from that and was playing great football.
And so now he's got to go through another injury. He's a 7th-round draft pick to begin with. I mean, he has overcome the odds time and time again. Don't count him out. I mean, again, playing through a torn labrum last year is ridiculous. So if there's anyone who's going to have that little Salvi factor of coming back quicker than expected, or the Vinny factor.
Vinny and Salvi,
It kind of feels like it might be a Jalen Watson, but yeah. And then just you saw Christian Roland Wallace. He got some action this game. He played well, obviously the interception, but in general, earlier on in the game, I thought he had a nice coverage on Ricky Pearsall. I think he's going to be more of a slot corner guy, so we'll see how that affects some of the outside roles. Joshua Williams is still not playing a ton. You're seeing Najee Johnson get a ton of snaps. I thought Najee Johnson actually struggled a little bit in this one. If you're going to say if anyone really struggled in the secondary, it might have been him.
I'd love to know. Maybe Spags will be asked about it on Thursday, but by that time, I think he would have forgotten because he oftentimes by Thursday, I'm not sure what play you're talking about. I'm moving on to the next game, but if you're saying that, I believe you that happened. I have to go back and look.
That was perfection of a Spags interview. I have to go back and look, but I believe you.
If
he
that's
believes
what you're saying,
you.
if that's
Good
what you're saying.
afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know what time it is. I was talking to the guy Romo again, but now they get Harlan and Green. Oh man, Spags is going to be there at 12:30 on Thursday. Spags, he's going to know it's afternoon because he's going to be sitting there shooting the breeze with Kevin Harlan and Trent Green for an hour and a half. But I want to know what happened on the long pass to Cowing, because if you watch the replay, Najee Johnson turned around and ran, and the first thing he did wasn't try to sprint and catch up. Like Justin Reed buried his head, and I got to run fast to catch George Kittle. He just got beat. Najee Johnson, when he turned and ran, looked right at Shamari Connor and almost raised his hands like, what the bleep? Then when he made the tackle, again, immediately looked at Connor and went like this, like, what's going on? Because you see Connor was backpedaling and then went to his right to follow another receiver.
Sure.
And Najee Johnson turned around and was like, oh, bleep. So did Najee think – obviously Najee Johnson thought he had help. Was he wrong and he did not have help? Was Shamari Connor guessing where Brock Purdy was going to go to the receiver coming over the middle and then left the help deep because he ain't going to throw it deep to that guy, to Cowing? There was obviously a miscommunication there.
Yeah.
Or somebody – did the wrong thing. So if Shamari Connor was there, are we talking about Najee Johnson getting burned the way that I think Justin Reed just got beat by George Kittle?
Sure, and that happens.
It happens.
And again, if there's any position where, yes, it sucks that Jalen Watson went down, yes, the depth and some of the play. I mean, you're getting Christian Roland Wallace, who I don't think anyone had.
Right.
Hey, who called it?
You had him on the team.
Had him on the 53, baby.
I don't think you had him playing 25% of the snaps in Week 6.
But
I don't think you had him getting an interception before Trent McDuffie did in his career. I don't think you had... Going into this game, Roland Wallace had played one career snap in the NFL. If you said, you know what, I think that guy's going to get an interception before Trent McDuffie. And you know what, I might have believed you because I don't know. I might put out
Jaden Hicks.
I might put out a Twitter poll and say, will McDuffie ever get an interception in his career? Because all of these guys are getting interceptions except for one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
But if there was a single position group that I think can get coached up, it's clearly cornerback. Clearly with Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, we saw Echo Boydo. We've seen Rashad Fenton. We've seen guys who've been here a year or two only make impacts. It sucks for Jalen Watson, but if there is a position group that I trust that they can get right and figure something out, it is CB.
It also shows you, and we'll take your phone calls, 913-381-0810. It also shows you what's happened with Joshua Williams over the last year. Because Jalen Watson goes down, Najee Johnson and Roland Wallace come in and play. He played fewer snaps than Chris Roland Wallace did.
Yeah.
Did Joshua Williams. So kind of shows you where the view is of him. I think he came into camp as the starting cornerback too. Agreed. With Jalen Watson coming back from injury. And he has now slid down to 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
behind Nazi and Roland Wallace.
Been
Now
good on special
4,
teams, though. Been
Right.
good on special teams.
which is fine. Yeah. Now cornerback 4
Yeah.
if Jalen Watson's going to be out. Let's take in a phone call. 913-3810810 is the phone number. Jerry's been waiting patiently to join the show. Jerry, go right ahead. What's on your mind with the Chiefs getting the win yesterday?
I thought it was absolutely awesome. I've been waiting all year long just to call you guys on the zone to say something about it. My take isn't all that important, except a couple things. I think yesterday was all about Kareem Hunt and Patrick Mahomes and the rookie defensive players. I think Justin Reed ought to get a raise for training these defensive players right. He showed them how to do it, and they got it done. One thing I noticed was when one of the touchdowns that Kareem Hunt had, Travis Kelce ran off, and Kareem Hunt followed him right in, and it looked like there were a couple guys going for Kelce, and then when the door opened up, Kareem just went in and got the touchdown. So not only are they focusing on Travis Kelce on passing plays, they're focused on him on running plays, and now the way it is, if they keep focusing on Travis Kelce, it's just going to keep giving all these other guys chances until they finally start getting it through. It's pretty awesome what's going on. You guys do a great job. One thing I did want to say, though, is thank you for not scheduling a wedding yesterday. You guys need to have all your focus on the game.
Darn right.
And congratulations, Sterling. I think you're awesome.
Hey,
Yeah, there you
thanks,
go.
man. Appreciate that. Thanks,
Thank
Jerry.
you, Jason.
Hey, Jerry, you're the man. I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words as well and being part of the show. 913-3810810. That is great.
Rackham. Best call of the day right there.
Well, first one. But, yeah, that's
That's a
first.
tough one to beat.
It's also the worst call if you really want to
No.
go. It's the best call and the worst.
Man.
it's anything you want to describe it.
You know what? His name's Jerry.
That was the
Jerry
longest
Rice
call
of
that was
calls.
the longest call of the show so far today, and it's the shortest call of the show so far today. It was
Jerry
the
Rice of
and the
calls.
nicest.
I'm just going to go ahead and say his name's Jerry. You're the Jerry Rice of calls.
Jerry Maguire, you are my ambassador of Quan. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Dylan,
I was about to say, if it was the Jerry Rice of calls, he would have told us it was the Jerry Rice of calls.
that's a great point. If it was the Ricky Henderson of calls, which that was the Ricky Henderson of calls.
Yeah.
It's the of calls of anything with the only one so far. 913-3810810. We'll take a time out. I do want to talk about some of the things he brought up. Travis Kelce on the block with the everybody in a down formation, including Carson Wentz and Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, Justin Reed, the running game, Nick Jacobs' great stats that he had after the game about between the tackles. We'll get into some of those things and more. 913-3810810. 913-912-4810 is the text line. More Zone next. some of it's lacking maybe on social media, but Mahomes on that run down the sideline. What are your thoughts on, did he use the rules to his advantage?
Yes.
Did 53 take a terrible angle?
Yes.
I think both can be true.
Yes.
I think Mahomes was heading to the sideline. I'm not sure where 53 was going because 53 was taking that angle is why Mahomes was able to stop.
Correct.
If he took the angle to Mahomes to force him out of bounds, which you'll see guys take a pursuit angle to meet the quarterback at the sideline, and as soon as they start to step that way, they just slide right past him.
Correct.
If you want to cut up, we're going to have a collision. That dude was running to the sideline and not even going to touch Mahomes. That's why he was like, oh, well, I'm just going to stop then and cut it up. So is there an element of using that to your advantage? Did 53 just think Mahomes is running this way, picked up the first down, he's going to stop? Yeah, but that's still a terrible pursuit angle by the defender, and he deserved to get a step back inside and get some ankles, broken by Mahomes. So
I thought the rule,
there's some nuance there.
I thought the rule is actually in the defender's favor, where he is allowed to basically, take a hit on Mahomes in that moment, and if Mahomes is almost out of bounds or close out of bounds, there's no flag.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah.
The one time we saw that worked in the Chiefs' favor, and everybody continues to use that as this is Patrick Mahomes and what he does. It was the Packers game that was officiated incorrectly. Right. It was called incorrectly, and every single person on Twitter that I saw, Chiefs fans as well, that night said, that's a bad call.
Yeah.
Mahomes was not out of bounds. That's a bad call. Other fans going, well, that's what Mahomes does. He slows down just to take the hit. I'm like, you think Patrick Mahomes wants to get hit by a defender? You think he slows down to get hit by a defender? The Bengals game in the AFC Championship game, he was 2 yards out of bounds when the dude hit him. Like that wasn't even close, because earlier that day, Jalen Hurts was 2 yards out of bounds in the third quarter and got hit late, and they threw the flag. But that was in the third quarter earlier in the day. It wasn't the fourth quarter and the last play from scrimmage in the game. Both the same, both officiated the same. To me, there's a little bit of Mahomes is going to the sideline, but you can't assume the quarterback is going to go out of bounds.
Right.
And you can't take that terrible angle. It's on the defender to make sure he goes out of bounds, because it would be smart for every quarterback to go out of bounds and they see there's nobody there. Why would they keep running out of bounds? Every single quarterback's going to cut it up, not just Mahomes.
Yeah, both are true. I mean, Mahomes did use, I think he used the rule to his advantage, or at least the protection that quarterbacks get. I mean, if it's a wide receiver, the defensive player's not doing that. If it's a running back, the defensive player's not doing that.
But I'm saying they took away that protection by using the Packers example of saying, okay, if it's close and they are kind of
trying
done
that, you're right.
No, they are not throwing the flag.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of complaints from Ravens fans because it happened twice this year with Lamar. He's gotten close to the sideline, was going out of bounds, and the dude chucks him
and there's
out of
no
bounds.
flag.
But we know Mahomes.
So it's actually the defender not using the new rule to his advantage more so than Mahomes using anything to his advantage.
I could see that.
Again, Mahomes is probably the smartest player in the NFL. I think he knew what he was doing to an extent, and then he saw the pursuit angle as we're talking about.
I think he would have gone out of bounds if 53 was pursuing him to force him out of bounds. I don't think Mahomes was there just to try to juke him and break his ankle. He was heading that way and looked at like,
if that's Dre Greenlaw.
Exactly.
It ain't even a question.
If it's Dre Greenlaw, Mahomes is out of bounds, and we don't see the Mahomes magic. We see the pump fake because that was on a different dude.
You still see the first down, so it's still pretty magical.
Yeah, he got the first down. He got the first down on the pump fake, all of that stuff. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of that.
I think both is the answer, and I think you can be, again, if a different quarterback did that to the Chiefs, let's just say
I'd
Josh.
be annoyed at the linebacker.
Well, no, I would be annoyed at the linebacker, and I guarantee part of me, and I guarantee a good chunk of the fan base would be sitting here going, that rule is they didn't want to get a penalty there.
What I would feel about that would be if you have somebody, if you have it was Breland Speaks and Tom Brady.
Yeah,
that's the one that I look at and go, that's the rule that screwed over Breland Speaks. He didn't want to throw Tom Brady to the ground.
Correct.
So he let him go, thinking that the play was over, and the officials did not blow the play dead, and they get a touchdown when it should have been a Breland Speaks sack. If the roles were reversed, I would be pissed at the linebacker. If that was Tranquil or Chanel or Bolton, my point would be good for the quarterback to cut it up on the sideline. Your job is to pursue him to get him out of bounds. You've got to use that extra defender. You can't use the extra defender if you're just going to run right by him. That's just lazy.
Again, I think it's both. I think there's some nuance obviously
It's
here.
both.
It's both. But
I haven't seen that commercial without Bally's.
Actually, or yeah.
Have we seen it recently without Bally's? I don't know.
No, it's on any Fox because
Is it?
Ortiz is on the.
I
on
see.
The
Yeah, I was going to say,
broadcast.
are they going to show it on FanDuel TV now?
That's true.
Now that Bally's is
See.
becoming FanDuel in like the next week or so. FanDuel
Oh,
TV?
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bally's is turning into FanDuel.
I'm a cable
TV.
man, so I don't have to deal with that Bally stuff.
Look at you. You look just like Jim Carrey. I've always said that about you.
Larry,
913-912-4810.
Larry the Cable Man.
That
It's
makes
Sterling
more
the
sense.
Cable Man. It's a really off-brand bit
Makes
that
more
we do
sense.
here.
I just
should've
don't know how
gone Larry the
Mahomes can use a rule that's a defensive rule to his advantage because, like Jason and me are saying, is that it's on the defender to enforce the new rule of get out of bounds. Don't.
Because the
play
league,
the sideline.
the league has, I think, the officials have shown
Yeah.
we're not just going to give the quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt if we don't think they're out of bounds. Because there was one that was called roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness, and the officials came together and picked it up
Sure.
and said no, his foot was still in bounds.
I just think it was a great play by Mahomes.
agree.
I think it was a phenomenal play. I think the pursuit angle was poor. I do think there was I don't want to say a loophole in the rule book, but I think the 49ers guy was like, I'm not getting a penalty here. It's not going to be. I'm not giving him an extra 15, and instead he gave up an extra 20.
That's on him, to
Pursuit
be
of the
honest.
angle. Pursuit of the
Sure.
angle.
The penalty would have actually, I think, been less than the yards that Mahomes picked up.
Great
so,
point. It's a great point. Yeah, because
That's also true.
Because he picked up another 23.
Yeah,
I
so
think after that, so
at
he
that
should've
point,
just taken-
he should have
and you
taken
could
the
have got
penalty.
and you get a hit on Mahomes.
Analytics.
And you get a hit on Mahomes. I mean, the dude, Malik Collins was like, we got the interception. We're already in plus territory. I'm going to go ahead and throw punch this guy. I'm going to go
Yeah, what?
karate chop right to the throat.
That was a bold in front of the ref too.
What if after the game was over, Mahomes was like, well, yeah, I got throat punched right there. Now all of a sudden my voice is different.
Yeah, I mean, it was before the game. We're just looking forward to this playing this 49ers team, getting out there and playing good football.
And then after the game, well, he hit me right in my throat. I'm not sure what happened there, but everything's fixed. Falls down a well, his eyes go cross,
was
gets
about
kicked
to
by a
say,
mule, they go
beat me to it.
uncross. I don't know. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk about what Jerry was talking about. I want to get into Justin Reed was really good at the podium. Shocker. I know. Stop me if you've heard this before, but Justin Reed, incredibly thoughtful. We'll hear from him coming up as we continue. Field Yates comes up at noon. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. We'll hear from Andy Reid and his Monday press conference in the noon hour as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. the numbers aren't necessarily stacking up for the MVP race, right? That Mahomes' numbers are just not something you would look at for an MVP leader. And it's like, well, you know, if you change the name from Patrick Mahomes to Trevor Lawrence, like he wouldn't be getting these numbers, right? But you also wouldn't be 6-0 if Trevor Lawrence were the quarterback of the Chiefs. I firmly believe that, as opposed to Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is still the leading vote, or the leader in Vegas, odds-on favorite to win MVP.
Wild to me.
Which is
Chris
crazy.
Jones, by the way, I know there's Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Chris Jones should probably be the MVP right now.
He's the third. Chris Jones, the third betting favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. T.J. Watt, Will Anderson, and then Chris Jones. And then, well, he's tied with Nick Bosa, but, you know, screw him. But so we give benefit of the doubt to Mahomes, right? So I think he's one of the lead. I think he's the leading odds-on favorite because you're like, look what he's dealing with. They're finding ways to win, and look who he's throwing the ball to. I mean, he's having winning drives late. He didn't throw for a touchdown, but I loved a lot of the reaction from like San Francisco superfan accounts that were getting retweeted. How many of them were like, you can't tell me you watched that game and just look. If you watch that game and look at the stats, then you don't know Mahomes. You don't know the impact he had on this game. And that was coming from 49er fan accounts. Now, they were mainly then taking and crapping on Brock Purdy.
Sure.
But that was what they were using it as. You got two guys where you look at the stats and they're kind of similar, only if you watch that game, you know one guy is a Super Bowl champion and the other guy is not going to get it done. So we we give the benefit of the doubt to Patrick Mahomes. Then riddle me this.
I do love riddles.
Why is Andy Reid the 8th betting favorite for Coach of the Year?
Because
He's 8th. They're undefeated, and he has had to deal with Hollywood, Rasheed, Pacheco, left tackles, now Juju. You bring in Kareem Hunt, Jalen Watson going down. Like, you're winning these close games. Well, I don't know, coaching decisions, getting your guys ready to play, being undefeated. Mahomes is getting benefit of the doubt, which I love, on MVP. But Kevin O'Connell's the leading candidate for Coach of the Year.
Sure. And that's fair, too.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
He
now.
and Dan Quinn are tied, I should say. He and Dan Quinn are tied for Coach of the Year.
I mean, Dan Quinn's done a fine job.
He's
But
done a fine job.
But let's be real. It should be Kevin O'Connell.
Sean Payton is third.
Dylan,
You like that? Sean Payton being third. Mike Tomlin fourth. Because, you know, he's
also fair.
Jim Harbaugh, tied with Mike Tomlin for fourth, I should say.
Yeah.
Tomlin and Harbaugh tied for fourth. Dan Campbell is sixth.
Dan Campbell is kind of in the Andy Reid boat. Different, but like they
Yeah,
had
but what-
expectations. They had a great team.
They had huge expectations.
Yeah.
They're not undefeated. And what injuries have they had to overcome?
It's always
Now Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
This is the first game without Aiden Hutchinson. Matt LaFleur is the 7th betting favorite.
Okay. Fair.
Had to overcome Jordan Love for a game and a half.
Sure.
And then Andy Reid. Right in front of Mike McDonald.
He's got to go undefeated. I mean, Andy Reid's going to have to go 16-1 or 17-0.
It's a Belichick thing.
Yeah.
But Mike McDonald and Andy Reid are essentially the same odds to win Coach of the Year.
Which is asinine. It's
Like, what are we
absurd.
talking about? What has Mike McDonald done? He's had a backup quarterback, and he can't figure out how to get Tyreek Hill the ball.
Yeah.
Believe me, he can't figure out how to get Tyreek Hill the ball. Believe me, he can't figure out how to get Tyreek Hill the ball. I know nobody cares in fantasy-wise.
Yeah. No, we don't, so.
But he can't figure out how to get Tyreek Hill the ball.
Nobody cares.
I mean, Coach of the Year, my ass. Guess that's why he's the 9th betting favorite. But still, he's had the 9th best coaching job this year?
Spags for Coach of the Year.
Okay.
Give me Spags. No, seriously, though, Andy
Yeah.
needs to be a lot higher.
No, that 2-4 record is pretty badass. Phone lines open till noon. We'll have Field Yates coming on at noon. 913-912-4810. But talking about Travis Kelce's blocking on, some of those Kareem Hunt runs. And on that play specifically is when, Carson Wentz takes a snap and runs to his left while Travis Kelce is coming back across the formation, and he lays the block and the kick out on the defensive end or linebacker, whoever it was at that particular time. And Kareem Hunt gets down to the 1 yard line, pretty close to picking up the touchdown there, but gets to the 1 yard line. He scores again on the next play, but 2 touchdown rushing for Kareem Hunt, almost 3.
I love Tom Brady on that call right there specifically, and I will give credit where credit's due. I thought that was the best Tom Brady has called a game.
I'm glad you're bringing up this point.
Grunny agreed.
I also said before the game that, he's had a rough stretch. And I agree.
Yeah.
That was his best game. I enjoyed it.
And because he still has a lot of generic talking points that I get a little annoyed. Because I'm like, you're Tom Brady. I don't need to hear you be generic. But, again, one of the ones that really stood out was we were talking about Mahomes. He goes, Mahomes has thrown for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He's done that before, but he's playing winning football now.
Yeah.
And which we saw with Tom Brady. The changes in his career, and he's talking about you live to fight another down. If this was 3 years ago and Mahomes tried and throw a side body to try and pick up 15 yards, instead he just threw the ball down at, I think it was McColl's feet, and was like, no, now it's 2nd and 10, and the Chiefs were able to, I believe on that drive, end up scoring a touchdown. And so I'm just sitting here going, Brady, that's what I like to see. Some of that more, the nuances there.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate him bringing that sort of insight into the booth right there. Again, still some ways to go, but
Yeah.
Dylan, I'm glad you agreed too. I thought that was Brady's best called game by a long shot.
Yeah, because I had said
Which is sort of a relative term considering how he had struggled the first 5 weeks or so.
basically, and that's what I was going to say is that everyone was taking shots, so it's nice to give him flowers because he did sound great.
Although Spagnuolo
Yeah, there was
and
some
Juju Schuster-Smith.
Yeah, there were a couple.
And then
There were a couple.
Then he said it after the game too, in
Yeah,
his
he
interview
did.
with Joe Tooney.
He did.
When he gave Joe Tooney the LFG award. So I guess I found this out. He gives a player after every broadcast that he does an LFG award or a Let's
Bleep
effing
and
go.
go. Yeah.
Gives it to a player, and he gave it to Joe Tooney, his former teammate.
I'm shocked you didn't call him Joe Thuney.
Yes. Well, he knows Joe. But he did say, you guys got different guys coming in. You have to run the football. You lose Juju Schuster-Smith in this game. Damn it.
In his career, not the same team, but he played in the same era as Juju.
Yeah.
Went up, I would assume, in a game against Juju, right? I mean, obviously different sides of the ball, but
They know people's numbers in the NFL base. Oh, that's why in the interviews or the pressers, people used to remember. Oh, they don't know Mahomes' name because they said, "Oh, 15's a really good court." That's how they look at it.
913-912-4810. Some text coming in from things we've talked about so far in the show. This text comes in, and it's good for presenting other facts in the conversation we were just having about Andy Reid. It says, no disrespect to Big Red, but Campbell has lost 7 guys in the front 7 for the year. Give him his respect. He also took an NFL cast-off and made up MVP so far in the season. We'll see that. I love Dan Campbell. And just comparing, it feels like Dan Campbell and Andy Reid are sort of in the same boat of the expectations were there, so overcoming injuries doesn't really get amplified the way that maybe it should because you were just sort of expected to do that. And you also, for Dan Campbell, you don't really get credit for Jared Goff, what he's doing this year, because of what he's been able to do with Jared Goff the last 2 years.
yeah, Jared Goff's been great.
If this
the
was
past
2
couple
years
seasons.
ago, all of a sudden Jared Goff is doing this. You're like, oh my God, he's doing the reason Kevin O'Connell's getting credit is because Sam Darnold's doing what Sam Darnold's doing, and there's no Kirk Cousins.
And the defense has been incredible after losing their best defensive lineman, Daniil Hunter. I mean,
So Dan Campbell and Andy Reid are in the same boat. So Dan Campbell is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th betting favorite, even though. But it's good to know some of those things that he's lost. We're so hyper focused on the Chiefs, and so credit where credit is due. And
Also-
believe me, no disrespect to Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell a lot.
yes. Jared Goff, though, I've been telling people for 3 years. Ever since he got to Detroit.
I've been telling him since
2
he's looked
years,
really
at
good in
least.
Detroit. I've been
Well,
telling
no, but,
everybody since he's looked good in Detroit that this guy looks good. in
No,
Detroit.
I've been saying he's the most underrated quarterback, not financially because he got that big contract, but I say he's the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. Jared Goff is. I know he's a Monroe St. Brown and a really good offensive line,
Yeah.
but it's not like he had Ayuk, Debo Samuel, George Kittle. Now he has Laporta, right? Now he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Jamison Williams missed the majority of his career so far. Like, I'm perpetually impressed by what Jared Goff has done. I'm glad he's finally starting to get some of his flowers after I think he was labeled a bust for what happened with the Rams, which is a little bit interesting considering he did at least go to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I'm happy for Jared Goff in this new chapter in Detroit.
Tex says, Worthy falling down didn't cause the interception. It was a terrible pass. Defensive back would have caught it anyway. Well, I mean, I disagree because I don't know that the defensive back would have caught it anyway. If Xavier Worthy doesn't fall down, at worst, he's running next to the defensive back, and he tries to catch it too. The defensive back doesn't just run and catch it over the shoulder like that with nobody around him. Xavier Worthy's going to have something to say about that. So
I love the if game where it's like, well, I know this would have happened if. It's like, well, I also know this would have happened.
Xavier Worthy wasn't running 10 yards behind the defensive back and slipped and fell. They clipped heels and got tangled up and he fell. He would have been there to at least try to knock it away. If the defensive back still made the catch, then that would be even more of a, dude, that was just an amazing play by the defensive back. I mean, Mahomes gave Xavier Worthy a chance. The defensive back stayed with him and then fought off Xavier Worthy to make the catch. Like, that'd be different. Like, I don't think you look at it and go, well, Chris Roland Wallace, it's a terrible throw no matter what Ronnie Bell did. Even if Ronnie Bell would have run the correct route, and instead of cutting it short, if he'd have cut it out towards the sideline up, fading away a little bit more, then Roland Wallace still would have caught it. Well, we don't know because he was by himself, and it was an easy catch. So, but he still made the catch. I don't know.
It would have been the Beanie Baby guy for the Steelers last night. Like, that would have been the catch that would have had a – did you see that catch he made, though? That, like, behind – it was like the Madden one where you're like, that's so unrealistic. No way that he makes that catch, and he made that catch. That's the kind of catch that I think that cornerback would have had to make if Worthy was running his route.
Tex says the Chiefs can win playing Marty ball because they have two things Marty never had, a legit quarterback and a solid kicker. And then Tex comes in and says, Mitch announced who made the interception, and I had to ask, who? That's not wrong. Speaking of the Marty ball part of that, a couple of tweets from one Nick Jacobs, and that is he tweeted out in the Chiefs running the football between the tackles that the Chiefs had 23 designed runs between the tackles yesterday against the 49ers, which is the most in an Andy Reid game since 2016. The Chiefs have a 55.2% success rate on running between the tackles, which is the second best in the NFL. And to the texter's point about Marty ball, they've got a quarterback that can make plays when he needs to, like the third down throw to Noah Gray. By the way, credit Noah Gray for going down and catching the ball, because I know somebody else that couldn't go down and catch the ball in the game, who needs to play less, not more, snaps. And Mahomes making the run down the sideline on another third down, and the fourth down play where Mahomes, kept it and trunked Mustafa. Those are plays that Marty didn't have with quarterbacks, especially when we're talking about with the legs and creating time and things like that. He had the running game.
Yeah.
He had the defense, which the Chiefs have right now, but they also then have, one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen in the history of the game. Not putting up crazy numbers, but a couple of unlucky interceptions and a rushing touchdown does not mask the fact of the plays that Mahomes made when he had to make them in this game. They got to 28 points, and they were 4 of 5 in the red zone.
Hey, I was about to say, how about the red zone?
Yeah.
We've been talking perpetually about the red zone struggles. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, again,
huge.
And
they put the hammer down, and Andy Reid wanted to put the hammer down.
Baby. I was just very impressed.
And everybody knows putting the hammer down means McCole Hardman 17-yard rush.
Do you think that 49ers fans, like, McCole Hardman is Jerry Rice? He is Randy Moss against the Niners. Like, they're like, if only we had a receiver like McCole Hardman, we'd be such a better team.
How can we find our McCole Hardman?
Can we just, and again, the numbers won't wow you at the end of the day for what McCole did, but if you watched that game, you saw the impact he had on such few snaps.
The third down play on the out route early in the
out
game.
Route, the little whip right there. Yep. He obviously had the long rushing touchdown, but he had another long rush as well. The punt return was incredible. McCole I wanted to see him get more snaps, which I can't remember me the past couple of years saying I give Hardman more snaps, but I want Hard more and less Sky. I don't know if I did the puns correctly there.
You did it fun. Sky Moore played 47% of the snaps. McCole Hardman played 30%. That's got to flip.
At least switched.
And yeah, at minimum switched, because Sky Moore this year, his snap counts have been 19%, 8%, 20%, 21%, 7%, 47% with Juju out of the game.
Yeah.
That can't continue. I mean, you gave him a chance, and he dropped the ball.
Again.
There was a third down early in the game where, for some reason, Mahomes was looking at Sky Moore, and Kelsey was just so wide open. And then Mahomes left what was a clean pocket and ended up getting sacked, and they had to punt. But that's one of those to where it's like, man, sometimes you just stare down Kelsey because he was just standing there like, hey, I'm right here. Throw me the ball. And Mahomes is looking to his left and waiting for Sky Moore to come open. I'm like, well, there's a reason you had to leave that pocket, because you were waiting for Sky Moore to come open.
Also,
but I mean, if that's the read, that's the read. Then Mahomes is saying, I'm going through my reads, and there's Sky Moore, and now I feel Nick Bosa getting around Wanya or somebody else. I've got to move here and find somewhere else, and I don't have time to scan and then get back to Kelsey over on the right side who was open.
Two quick things. I do want to touch on the offensive line, because there's a lot to get into there.
Because I think that goes along with what Nick Jacobs tweeted about on the between the tackles runs.
But how funny is it that they do not trust Mahomes to do a QB sneak, yet he trucks a guy, and everyone's like, let's go! Let's go! And you're like, oh, okay.
Another texter said earlier, that's the closest we'll ever see to a quarterback sneak again.
It was
Mahomes
QB
trucking.
draw.
Yeah. It wasn't even that. It was like, I'm dropping back, nobody there. I'm just going to run it myself, man. And once he started taking off, I'm like, all right, he's going to score.
Two of his greatest plays on the goal line are the Jordan dunk over the Bengals, and then that one. I actually thought it was going to be very similar.
I thought he was going to do that too, but then it's like, okay, I'm going to get to the end zone before this guy gets here, and then I'm going to lower the shoulder for some damn reason.
That's Coors Light, baby.
Sterling, so I looked up StatMuse. McCole Hardman, his total stats against the 49ers. He has 9 catches for 108, 5 touchdowns in 4 games in the regular season and postseason. He also has 60 yards rushing and 3 total rushing touchdowns as well.
So he has 8 touchdowns in 7 games?
About 160 total yards. Yep. In 4 games.
In 4 games, yeah.
Dude.
2 Super Bowls and 2 regular season games.
Yep.
McCole Hardman is the 49er killer. That's what he does.
I wish he had 9 touchdowns.
It's almost as if
4,
going side
9.
to side fast is what is the kryptonite to this 49ers defense, because they love to get upfield with Bosa and the edge rushers.
I could have done with 1 fewer McCole Hardman run at the end. Yeah. My wallet could have used just a few more yards from Kareem Hunt, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. They won the game, and that's all that matters. And we got laughing Tom Brady while McCole Hardman scoring a touchdown because there was just nobody there. Nobody there as he's turning the corner on the end around. It's like, you get Tom Brady laughing of just like, this is just dumb what they're doing to this team. They're running right at you, right at you, right at you, right at you, right at you. Boom, around the corner. Now it's 17 yards.
With the offensive line here, that first quarter was bad. Tackles, I'm talking specifically. Juwan Taylor, Wanya Morris. At one point, Wanya got beat one-on-one with Bosa, and I go, at least give him some help, man. You're having a second-year guy go one-on-one with Bosa. That's going to be in poorly. And then the next possession, or maybe the next play, he stonewalled Bosa, and Juwan Taylor gets beat. And I'm sitting here going, now that can't happen. You can't have him go one-on-one with Bosa. He does his job, and you get beat on the backside.
Right.
But what I found awesome to watch, they didn't get down. Second quarter on, I thought the offensive line was outstanding. I really did. So, for the first quarter worries that I think everyone had of, oh my gosh, and maybe that goes to Andy Reid and Nagy with some of the play calls and 12 personnel, 13 giving some help to the guys. First quarter was bad for the O-line, but second quarter on, I thought the tackles, again, we know about the interior. The tackles, though, I thought really stepped up.
Let's hear from Andy Reid here on the red zone success and then a couple of others, including that Mahomes rushing and physical play. But here's Andy Reid, clip number 1 on the team's success going 4 of 5 in the red zone on Sunday against the 49ers. Yeah, the 4 of 5 was 4 of 5 because and look, the red zone's 20 yards in. It was 4 of 5 because the Chiefs gained 2 extra yards on that drive that ended up in the interception because they got to the 19.
Yeah.
Even though that snap took place from the 24, because they got to the 19 and then Mahomes was sacked by Bosa for a 5-yard loss. Then he threw the interception on 2nd down and 15 at the 24-yard line.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, you said 4 for 5. I'm like, I thought it happened at 24,
Yep.
and I was like,
because they got to the 19 and then they got
19.
sacked.
Okay.
They got sacked. They got down to the 19.
I was trying to figure that one out.
Here's the first red zone trip and 0 for 1 interception. And then they went 4 for 4 after that. Andy Reid was asked, this is clip number 3, maybe? I think I got maybe 2 threes on there for some reason. But clip 3
that
of
makes 6.
Mahomes rushing and physical play. Let's play that one. Here's Andy Reid talking about the rushing yards from Patrick Mahomes and the contact that he had in this game. Yeah. Yeah.
It was left shoulder.
I'd like him to.
It was left shoulder.
It's not going to matter. The thing is, you need both shoulders to throw a football the way that Mahomes throws a football. Here's Patrick Mahomes talking about it's clip number 7. I think there's only 1 7 in there, but clip number 7 from Patrick Mahomes and the his running and the contact that he had on that play in the game.
No, I actually was not trying to like lower my shoulder. I was trying to like absorb the hit. I knew I was gonna be right right there in the end zone, and that dad bod, man, just had enough weight on me where he went down. So it wasn't like I was necessarily trying to like seek out contact. I was trying to absorb it and get in the end zone, and just ended up looking good for me.
When was the last time you were able to lower your shoulder? Do you remember?
The last time I lowered my shoulder was against Iowa State, and I had an AC sprain. And then Iowa State beat me by like 56 points, so I've stayed away from that.
Did the dad bod help you on the scramble down the sideline? Just a little juice?
Yeah, it was. I was actually was stopping and was gonna try to just get the first down, and I haven't seen the play, but the dude either overran or kind of got a little bit of a block there, and so once I got on the sideline, it opened up, and I was able to get down there, and I thought about cutting it back, but I'll save that for the playoffs, and then right now I'm going to just continue to run out of bounds.
Yeah, the dude overran it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to go out of bounds, and then the dude overran it. So then I stayed in bounds and picked up another 20-plus yards on that particular play, his longest rush in his career, 33 yards, which I guess the one against the Eagles in the Super Bowl wasn't that seemed like it was like a 30, 35-yard run.
What was the one against Tennessee? That sure felt like it was about that long, too, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that was like at the 22 or 23. It felt that long
Sure.
because it was a pass where you drop back.
Yeah.
And then, he gets out of there. But yeah, that thing was it was pretty legit. It's a great run. Let's hear from Justin Reid. And Justin Reid was really good yesterday after the game was over. And he was asked about, do you expect more this year? How good the defense was last year. It's clip number 15. Do you expect more this year from the defense?
The expectations always increase, but we're up for the challenge of it. You know what I mean? We want to remain constant with who we are. We're not going to get out of our shell. We're not going to try and be anything that we're not. We're just going to continue to buy into the defense as one unit, one team, one heartbeat. Buy into what we do. We have a saying called the formula this year. Buy into the formula of who we are as the Kansas City Chiefs and continue to run with that.
Justin, where did that formula thing come from? Like, who came up with that, and what's the meaning of that to you guys?
Yeah, that was actually from last season, heading to the Super Bowl. That was a Travis Kelce saying, talking about our identity and what we've done to get to the point to get ready to play this game in the Super Bowl, and just remaining consistent to who we are, not changing who we are, following the process, buying into the program that Coach Reid sets forth before us, and just continuing to do that. And, it became our motto. It became a calling card and became our motto this year.
Did you guys as a defense in particular use that?
Absolutely. We use that motto. We use another motto saying demand better, which is, again, in comparison to last year that we did some good things, but not to get complacent or get comfortable, but find ways to be even better than what we did last year and, keep raising the bar week in and week out.
The formula that they're using now as a defense that apparently Travis Kelce brought to the table before the Super Bowl. I mean, we've heard about the impassioned speech that Travis Kelce brought the night before they played the 49ers in the Super Bowl about what it meant to him getting emotional and crying, and everybody in that room talking about that they had never seen or heard a speech like that before, or Travis Kelce talking like that before. And apparently that's where the formula originated, and the defense has taken that and run with it, and that formula that they have used, and it's worked so far through the first 6 weeks. The formula is easy. It's you plus me equals us. It's calculus. Or a formula. It's obvious what it is, you know.
I feel Dylan, I feel uncomfortable.
Why?
HR.
No, it's not HR. It's O-Town. Not HR. O-Town. You plus me equals us.
Yeah, O-Town doesn't make it any better, Jason.
Calculus.
What does O-Town mean?
O-Town is the band that sang
Yeah,
calculus.
I know. I wonder what that. You think
You plus
what's
me
the O
equals us.
stand for, Jason?
Orlando. I think they were all
Orlando
from
Town.
I think they were all from Orlando. That's what they were called. Here is Justin Reed weighing in on, he was asked about the defensive performance last year. This is clip number 13. How does this defense compare to last year's 2023 version of this defense?
Every year in the league is always different. So there's some things that's similar. I think that the results are nice, but we're doing it in different ways, and different players are showing up. Chris is continually dominant. But it's kind of like, who's the guy this week that's going to show up and have a big-time game? And what's nice is that, guys are showing up when their number's called and making the plays when we need them to. We just got to, remain humble and remain hungry and continue to pursue that going forward, not get comfortable with where we are now, but always seek ways to get better.
They've gotten better, and the run defense has been unfreaking real. I mean, the run defense has been awesome for this team. And yet another player, and Jordan Mason eventually got a little more space in the second half. But the first half, he was just bottled up. I mean, he had nothing. He ended up averaging 4 yards per carry because he had that 26-yard run.
Yep.
But 14 for 48 on the day.
58.
14 for 58 on the day for Jordan Mason. In the first half, he had 5 carries, 3 yards in the first half. Juszczyk had 1 carry, 14 yards. Jordan Mason, 5 carries, 3 yards. Garendo had 1 carry, 2 yards for this team. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. They do it. They find ways to win. They continue to do that. They have changed their identity. They go into training camp, throwing the ball deep, over the top, forcing it over the top, showing that they're going to be a team that takes the chances, that's going to spread the field horizontally and vertically, throwing to Hollywood Brown, throwing to Xavier Worthy. And now they are a team that is handing the ball off 23 times between the tackles. That is one heck of a change from preseason game 1 to week 7 in the NFL. Going to that. From opening up training camp with Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, and by game 5 and 6 for your team, by games 5 and 6, the leading snap count wide receiver is Justin Watson.
We all knew it. We all knew it.
I mean, Justin Watson, 70% against the Saints and 73% against the 49ers. Number 1. His snap counts were 52%, 45%, 39%. Then in the game that Rashee Rice got injured, 69%. And then against the Saints, 70%, and now 73%. So 3 weeks in a row that has increased, and he's had all of, against the 49ers, he had that one target while playing 3/4 of every single snap in the game.
You want to take a guess at how many targets he has on the year?
I'm going to say 5.
That's 9.
Oh, okay.
You kind of ruined the bit.
Sorry.
I bet 9 is insane.
I just don't
6
remember
games.
him getting many targets.
Do you know how many yards he has this year?
Well, 9 targets, 48.
95.
Damn it.
He's a deep ball guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, yesterday was 8 yards.
88 yards, yeah.
You know?
Fair. As long as 25.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of, like, the times that Justin Watson has gotten the ball, and I don't remember them, the times that Justin Watson. I don't even know that I guess I remember the 8-yard one yesterday because they replayed the catch.
Their leading receiver
reach up and grab it.
Went for 8 yards, and they won by double digits.
With a leading snap count receiver.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Their leading snap count receiver went for 8
Right.
yards.
The leading wide receiver went for 19 yards.
Xavier Worthy with 3 receptions.
3 receptions, 19 yards. McCole Hardman, 1 catch, 17 yards. Justin Watson, 1 catch, 18 yards.
You're getting close to the Alex Smith
5
Chiefs,
for 44.
that a wide receiver doesn't catch a touchdown pass. It's just
5 receptions, 44 yards for the wide receivers yesterday. On 11 targets. 11 targets, 5 receptions, 44 yards, no touchdowns. The tight ends, which was, Jody, Noah, Travis. Jody had 1 target. So that's 10 targets, 8 receptions for 83 yards. 8 receptions, 83 yards on 10 targets. Much more efficient, especially with Noah Gray being the leading receiver in the game. 4 catches, 66 yards.
by 44 yards, by the way.
Yeah. And Mahomes throwing for 150 yards. 27 attempts, 150 yards. Because they handed the ball off. Well, how many kneel downs did Mahomes have at the end? 2? You have to take 2 knees. So we'll just take away Mahomes' overall runs. So they handed the ball off 34 times. So, giving it to a running back, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and Kareem Hunt was 30 times. So the last 2 weeks, they have handed it off to a running back 62 times. 62 handoffs to a running back the last 2 weeks.
And they were the most complete victories
Yeah.
the past 2 weeks.
You're right. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes on this clip number 8. And finding ways to win some of these games against really good opponents, whether they're close wins or not. They've been winning these games, and they sit 6-0, and what that may mean for this season and the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's just you get the best of the best, and that prepares you for the playoffs. I think that's the biggest thing. Is it's obviously fun to win and score a lot of points, but whenever you play these high tense moments against the great teams in the NFL, you see where you're at. And we were able to find ways to get a win today. Our defense just continues to play special, honestly, and offensively we're able to run the ball and find a way to get in the end zone. But I think we can get so much better, and so we're going to continue to work at that and try to continue to get better as the season goes on.
They have. They've changed their identity as the season has gone on, and they remain undefeated. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. Coming up in the next segment, get his thoughts around the NFL. Our NFL insider from ESPN, Field Yates, joins us coming up at noon. We'll hear from Andy Reid in his press conference at about 12:30 or so. Mick Schaefer joins us in the 1 o'clock hour right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll see what the Chiefs end up doing this week or next week when it comes to the wide receiver position, because it seems difficult to think that they would continue on this year with the situation they're in right now, where Justin Watson has the most snap counts on the team, where, Xavier Worthy and Sky Moore and McCole Hardman would be your top 4 receivers. If Juju Smith-Schuster's out for a game or two, maybe you can get by against the Raiders. I think you can. Aiden O'Connell going on the IR. Broken thumb. Juju Schuster-Smith. Thank you, Tom Brady. But as long as you have Steve Spagnuolo's defense, then you'll be fine. They can get by against the Raiders, certainly. But the rest of the year, into January, hopefully Hollywood Brown returns. But I do wonder what they're going to do, because I don't think they're sitting there in the front office and the coaching staff going, oh, we're good. Let's just elevate Nico. Let's just elevate Montrell Washington. Let's just bring up Justin Ross. It'll be fine. It'll be all good. The Rams won yesterday against the Raiders, so they're now 2-4 instead of 1-5. Maybe it makes them less likely on Thursday night Cooper Kupp's going to return. So maybe if you're, the 49ers and they go, or the Rams, I should say, and they say, we're only 1 game back of Seattle right now. We're 2-4, and the leader is, Seattle with 3 losses. We've got 4. They've got 3. Cooper Kupp's returning.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams is a stud. Maybe we don't need to trade any of these guys
Might
just
let
yet.
it ride.
Yeah, just yet. We might still have a chance to win this division, especially with Brandon Ayuk feared to be out for the season with a torn ACL.
Did you see the game last night, or yesterday, between the Raiders and Rams? Because
thankfully, no.
Thank you. As a man with a +7 for the Raiders to cover, thanks for kicking the field goal.
Oh, my God.
They're
dude.
down 8 in the red zone.
Don't gamble on games you don't want to watch. That's a great lesson.
Hey,
that's a good lesson. You're
I
right
hit,
about that.
baby. That's called a hit right there.
Is that right?
Thank you,
gamble
Antonio
on, like, the
Pierce.
Vikings and the Texans games, those kind of games you want to gamble on. Not that.
He kicked the field goal, which essentially just you cover the spread, but you were going to lose.
You're down by 8. The odds of you getting even near the 9-yard line again to give yourself a chance is slim with less than 3 minutes to play, even if you've got all 3 timeouts. Because you have all 3 timeouts. You can then stop them and put yourself in that position yet again. Just dumb decisions. Dumb decisions.
then he's in bed. He'll break down the NFL without a single hair ever out of place. It's Field Yates of ESPN. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up this hour, his Monday press conference, getting ready for the Raiders on Sunday. Then Mick Schaefer will be our guest coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Right now, let's talk to Field Yates, our NFL insider from ESPN, joining us here in the zone. Field, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, Jason. I can only imagine the answer is the same for you as the Chiefs now stand. Well, I guess they've been standing atop the NFL for 2+ years now, but they stand atop the regular season standings all by themselves for the first time since about midnight on Thursday of the first Thursday of the NFL season, when for a brief moment they were the only 1-0 team in the entire league.
Yeah, now the last remaining undefeated team. It was a good weekend. It was a good weekend because the Chiefs win, the local college football teams won, Mizzou, KU, K-State. My little man won his baseball tournament and fall ball. It was a great weekend, actually, Field.
How about that? Well, that's the most important stuff there. I love that.
Absolutely. Awesome stuff there.
It's a beautiful day here, too. I'm in Connecticut, which, we have probably, it's not quite as dry here in the Northeast as it is often in the Midwest, but it's beautiful and warm. It's 80 degrees here today. I have no idea what is going on.
Yeah. Today it was like 75 and sunny all weekend. It's 73 today right now. It's going to get up to 80 this afternoon, but yeah, absolutely. Beautiful stuff. Absolutely. No doubt about that. And the Chiefs, they'll take yet another win, Field. It's weird because like for the first 4 games of the season, we said, they're finding ways to win. You're not playing pretty football. It's kind of ugly, but they're finding ways to win these games. And then the last 2 weeks, they've won by multiple scores. They've won by double digits. They beat the Saints 26-13. They win 28-18 against the 49ers. And even getting the 18 was that sort of a
garbage
yes,
time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are you making of this Chiefs team? They're 6-0, and the theme of, they're winning one-score games and they're making it really close there in the fourth quarter hasn't been the case these last 2 weeks.
No, they have been excellent these past couple of weeks. They've been excellent all season. I think as I watch the league at large, I think to myself, it's easy when you're atop the mountain to nitpick games in which you win close and perhaps you win ugly. But I'd much rather win than not. And the Chiefs just keep finding ways to win. I think about some of the ways that they did so yesterday, and I almost felt like they took the wind out of the sails for what would be the 49ers' best unit, which is their offense when fully healthy. So the Chiefs yesterday defensively got contributions across the board. If I told you just one sack of Brock Purdy, you might think, he was very comfortable. Evidently not. He had 3 interceptions yesterday, one of which just terrible. I mean, it feels like he's just like seeing ghosts out there. So Brock Purdy was clearly uncomfortable by the plan that Spags had laid out for that team yesterday. I think the Chiefs were excellent on special teams as well. Obviously, the Nicole Hardman punt return was a big play, a 50-plus yarder. They were excellent in terms of the hitting yardage. They were really good, the punt team, in terms of both punt coverage and also flipping the field. And they just grind the clock now on offense. I don't know how many of us would have expected Kareem Hunt to have nearly 25 opportunities once again yesterday based off of where he was, a month ago, right? The guy was just signed to the practice squad at that time, but they just ripped the soul out of you. The Chiefs have become the boogeyman for the NFL. If you're the 49ers and you can't get the Chiefs when you're up double digits in the Super Bowl, or you can't get the Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes accounts for 0 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and they have 17 receiving yards for Travis Kelce yesterday. So Juju Smith-Schuster, who had emerged from the ashes and become the number 1 wide receiver for this team all of a sudden, left the game before he even had a catch. Travis Kelce neutralized. Xavier Worthy had, I think, under 25 receiving yards yesterday. A quiet day across the board, and you still lose. And you basically lose by 16 points, save that junk time touchdown. Now, I get it. The 49ers had injuries coming into the game. They dealt with injuries during the game, specifically both Deebo Samuel leaving because of an illness and then Brandon Ayuk leaving because of a significant knee injury. But if you're San Francisco, I don't care when they play next, whether it's in the Super Bowl or a preseason game next year. I don't care what the stakes are. The Chiefs are in their head. And San Francisco is part of a long list now where I'm not sure anybody other than maybe Cincinnati, can go into Kansas City and feel like we have a chance because we've done this before. The reality is they have totally sucked the life out of the entire league.
Yeah, the 49ers fans and the organization has to just be, annoyed that, hey, we've got the Chiefs twice in the regular season. That happens. But twice in the Super Bowl, we've gotten there and had to face off against this team. And matchup-wise, I'm not sure what you can do. And we joked on Friday, Field, heading into this game, one of our guests that covers the Chiefs locally, and we were talking about, and I said, you've got a team that is really good at stopping the run, really good defense in stopping the run, is going to run the football, has one of the better run games in the NFL against a team that doesn't have the yak yards. They're going to be taking deep shots and has trouble stopping the run. And I'm explaining the 2019 Super Bowl, not Sunday. Yet everything flipped, and the Chiefs found a way to win both games when it was that way. And I think that's where that chameleon-esque sort of feel around this Chiefs team, that they went in training camp, Field, from forcing the ball down the field and talking about Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, and it's back to being that offense that they wanted to push the ball down the field, stretch the field horizontally and vertically, and have that offense be back. And Mahomes was talking about how excited he was. And then in week 6, or game 6, week 7, they run the ball between the tackles 23 times, which is the most that they have run the ball between the tackles since 2016.
Yeah, I saw that. The next-gen stats era is how they describe it. Right?
In 6 games, they've gone from what they wanted to be, this high-flying offense, to now somebody described it earlier in the show as Marty Ball, with a better defense, with a better quarterback and kicker. It's Marty Ball.
Totally. Yeah, it truly is. Yeah. And again, it's we spend all offseason. We have the longest offseason in the NFL, longer than every other offseason. So we have a lot of time to imagine what it's going to look like. And I'm not blaming people because it felt like I hadn't sized up myself. But I don't know how many people were saying, what the Chiefs need to do this year is just play great defense and not worry about the offense. But we've gotten to that point now, Jason, and it's not to take away from the greatness of some of the individual players on that offense. But the formula this year now is play great defense, suffocate you defensively, be opportunistic. And it just feels like, doesn't it feel like every time anybody gives the Chiefs an inch, they take a mile, right? It's like, when the quarterback gives them an opportunity to make a play on the ball, they make a play on the ball. This was just one example, but it's just one that I thought was prominent throughout the week. Tyrann Mathieu, Thursday Night Football, has a ball just like right in the breadbasket, right? It's like if he fixed it, who knows? With Tyrann Mathieu's ability with the football in his hands, it might be, I don't know about a house call, but at least, set the Saints offense up for something. He just drops it. Right, and it's like the Chiefs, it just feels like the opposite. They continue to do so. The depth has been tested, and it will be again in that cornerback room with Jalen Watson going to miss, some period of time here, and yet they just keep cycling these guys in. And I'm not, it's hard to account for the loss of, some of the absolute top-tier players on this roster, but they just keep finding a way, and I think it's a real credit to that front office because they have done a remarkable job of identifying not just depth, but also what it means to be a Chiefs player, which I think there is something to be said for that identity right now.
Yeah, you mentioned something about Kareem Hunt and the 22 carries and the 2 receptions, so 24 touches. Kareem Hunt in 3 games has touched the ball 68 times. 68 times he's touched the ball, and a lot of that is between the tackles. They have kind of changed their identity. They aren't running outside zone nearly as much. It's a lot of inside zone, gap, duo, power game that they're running, and their 3 interior offensive linemen, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, according to Pro Football Focus, I believe all 3 have career-high run blocking grades this year. It's just it's amazing what they have become. Do you think that I know that we had talked last week and the week before that, yes, Brett Veach is absolutely trying to find, replacements or no stone left unturned, that kicking the tires on all these different things, any cliche or, phrase we want to use. Does it become more urgent, more serious with Juju Smith-Schuster than leaving the game? Sky Moore gets 1 target, drops the ball. Justin Watson has 75% of the snaps, and he gets 1 target. Like 2 of your top 4 in total snaps for your wide receivers got a total of 2 targets in that game with 1 reception and 8 yards. How much is there then a sense of urgency, do you think, for the front office to find something somewhere to come in that isn't, Sky Moore or can be some sort of an improvement in who might be out there.
Yeah, to me, there's no doubt that they're thinking about that, and I think like the urgency is still very high, and it's for this reason. It's not about, the truth. It's not about the week to week right now for this team. Right,
Mm-hmm.
They're 6-0. They're a very strong bet to be in the playoffs, probably win the division. They play the Raiders next week, staring down 7-0. Right, I feel confident about all that. But it's the games in which you get tested. Like, there are only a couple teams now in the NFL. If I had to pick the one that strikes me as most likely, it would be Detroit. But there are only a couple of teams that probably feel like they have the goods offensively to test Kansas City defensively. And if they can put up, 24 points in the game against the Chiefs, are the Chiefs comfortable and confident that this current group of pass catchers can match a good offensive effort on what might be a decent day at the office for the Chiefs' opponents? So to me, it's not about what it's going to look like for the next. We have 2.5 months left of the regular season. It's a January move. It's a January and February move, and I think that the urgency remains high with not just the stakes, also the fact that we are now 15 days away from the NFL's trade deadline. And the last factor that I would mention is that we've seen some players that have been mentioned as trade candidates that are on teams that are going the wrong way, whether it's a DeAndre Hopkins, whether it's a Deontay Johnson. And I think for both of those are just two examples. Yeah. But those teams become more inclined to move the player. Beyond that, I think at some point you have to realize that, you're not just competing – you're competing with other teams that might be in the wide receiver market, right? I don't know that there are 10 obvious candidates, but, San Francisco went from a team that probably wasn't thinking about trading for a wide receiver that might be, right? I mean, a team that's now 3-4, playing the Cowboys next week, no Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season, almost assuredly. Maybe they're a team that all of a sudden goes shopping for the wide receiver market. So you are competing against some of the other teams that might not have as pressing of a need, but do have a need at wide receiver.
Visiting with Field Yates from ESPN, you mentioned 6-0, staring down the barrel of 7-0, taking on the Raiders this weekend. I was starting to do the math last night, Field, which isn't a great thing, but still starting to put some of those things together. The Chiefs being 6-0 in a 2-game lead in the AFC right now. They have 2 left against the Raiders, 2 left against Denver, 1 against Carolina, 1 against Cleveland, and then they still have a game at home against the Chargers. That's 7 games right there if they simply take care of business against the teams they should take care of business against. That gives them 13 wins. Again, you've got to go and win those games. It gives them 13 wins. They would have 4 games left, and that would be against the Bucs, the Bills, the Texans, and the Steelers. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, I think 1-3 against those 4 would actually get it done at 14-3. And you may have, the Texans or the Bills or maybe both could have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, but you would be asking them to only lose 1 more game the rest of the way to then be able to utilize that tiebreaker. They couldn't lose 2 more games in the they can't. 10-2 wouldn't get it done. If the Chiefs go 8-3 the rest of the way, 10-2 by Houston and Buffalo, even with beating Kansas City, wouldn't get it done to get the 1 seed.
No question about it. Yeah, it's man, I didn't think about it in that vein. I think the only games that I might quibble a touch with you on would be the Broncos, only because they're playing great defense right now.
That's true. That's a good point.
But that's I pulled up the schedule as you were saying it, and I was kind of eyeballing it, saying, those are the 4 that I kind of agree with most. I guess that would be past the trade deadline, but I was wondering if they play the game in Carolina, can they just bring Deontay Johnson back on the team?
That'd be great. Yeah.
I guess we passed the deadline. Unfortunately, it would make for a good story otherwise. But it may sound ridiculously early to have those kind of eyes, and I'm sure the Chiefs would never have those kind of eyes themselves, but man, it's just an incredible run. I don't know. I mean, I sort of have run out of ways to describe the brilliance of it.
Yeah.
And, I sort of there's a certain cross section of fans, and not that you deal with this dynamic probably locally, because I think fans would love to hear everything about it, but fans get sick of us talking about the Chiefs right now. And I say I'm not doing it because I'm trying to tell you something you haven't heard before, right? I'm doing it because I think what I recognize is we're in this really special time for a team that's playing objectively outstanding football. And I just appreciate it, because we're going to go through years where it is very parity driven, and we're going to have teams that kind of just exchange the opportunity to be great. And We just came out of a 20-year run with one franchise, and, we're probably 6 or 7 years into what might be another 20-year run with a separate franchise. And maybe that's boring to some, but I look at it as like an organization that top to bottom just consistently does the right thing. I appreciate that more than I begrudge it. Way more than I begrudge it, because I think this is something that we should really be savoring.
Yeah, and believe me, people locally appreciated your tweet about the city of Atlanta getting granted the Super Bowl in 28, and about the Chiefs and who their opponent's going to be.
That one. I had to have some fun with that one.
Yeah.
I thought that. I figured all the big dog reporters would be all announcing, hey, Atlanta, they got the Super Bowl. I just figured I can't jump into the mix. But, at this rate, tell me I'm wrong. When that game is determined, if I'm right, you better believe I'll be victory lapping that one long after it initially went up.
For those that may not have seen it, Field 5 days ago tweeted out, the NFL has officially announced Super Bowl, whatever it would be, will be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta in 2028. The Chiefs' opponent is yet to be determined.
God, a lot of fans were not happy about that.
Oh, really?
Outside
Shocker.
of Kansas City. Yeah, believe it or not.
So we said,
funny.
so we said on the air, I'm like, I bet Field's hearing it from the responses.
Whatever. Those people can go, smell some grass or something. Get outside a little bit on this beautiful day. I'll kick rocks. I did realize it took me like 3 days to realize this, but someone finally told me. They said, you do realize that you put you mixed up the Roman numerals. Apparently, I spelled out Super Bowl 42, not Super Bowl 62. So I don't recall who played in Super Bowl 42, but the Chiefs retroactively are going to be playing in it. My apologies.
I can promise you it was not the Chiefs in
Was
that particular game.
Giants Patriots undefeated season?
I mean, honestly, Dylan, I'll take your word for it. Dylan is our NFL. Dylan goes to sleep to football life. Documentaries.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, he does love his NFL. We were talking about it before we got on the air.
Yep,
it was. Yeah. Jesus, dude, unbelievable. Field Yates is our guest. A couple of quick ones, and then we'll get you out of here.
Couldn't pass algebra in college, but boy,
That's because you were watching all the
NFL.
You were watching all the NFL stuff.
I knew it was important.
That's exactly right. Jaden Daniels with the rib injury. I don't know the extent of that, but is this an early lesson in how to run as a quarterback and protect yourself? Because the thing that has worried me about Jaden Daniels is, Lamar Jackson has that ability of just to kind of slither past big hits. He gets hurt in the pocket but not out running. And Jaden Daniels hasn't really done that much. He's taken some bigger hits, and he's slight of build. An early lesson of like, hey, man, this is not sustainable. Get out of bounds, get down, and live to fight another down.
I'll tell you the reason why the answer is no for me only is that, I felt like that's actually been a good area of strength for his early on this season. And beyond that is, LSU has, this incredible sports performance team, and, they identified Jaden as, kind of this, uniquely built guy. Obviously, he's lean. He's very small. But he's, got, Gumby sort of build to him, right? He's, elastic. So, anything can happen. It's football, right? One bad hit can cost you the rest of the game. But I'm hopeful that Jaden Daniels, this is a very short-term injury, for no other reason. I mean, for a lot of reasons. But even if I had to just pick one, the NFL already flexed next week's game into 425. Bears versus Commanders. It takes on a lot different feel if it's the number one pick of the 2024 draft versus the number 2 pick of the 2014 draft, that being Marcus Mariota. So we need to get Jaden Daniels back so we can get Caleb versus Jaden on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, no, we need that to happen for sure. Visiting with Field Yates from ESPN. Jared Goff is the 4th betting favorite to win the MVP. Mahomes is the betting favorite still to win the MVP, even with those numbers. But the last 3 games for Jared Goff, he is 58 of 68. For almost 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. I do wonder, how much that starts, whether it's the Vegas or people putting money on it or not. How much is Jared Goff maybe raising the attention of him putting his name at least a little more seriously into, an MVP caliber season with what he's doing right now?
Yeah, to me, he's awesome. And by the way, it's a reminder that we get so caught up on hey, who's going to be, how great is this guy? How can he transcend this franchise and you draft him? Sometimes it's about doing the right things around the player and giving them some time. And I understand that Jared Goff had some success in L.A., also had some trials and tribulations when he was out there, but really impressed by the way that they have surrounded him. And, Kansas City obviously knows this dynamic very well as well. But that's a dominant offensive line that gives them a lot of time and space right now. Jared Goff, just to put one more number to sort of be the cherry on the top of the Jared Goff Sunday, he has now completed a higher percentage of his passes over the last 4 games than any quarterback in a 4-game stretch in NFL history. Minimum qualifier there is 90 passing attempts. I'm sure there was somebody who threw like one pass in a 4-game stretch, but just great stuff from Jared Goff. He has been lights out of late for the Detroit Lions.
Last one, Chiefs Raiders this weekend. We'll call this the it'll get handled when it gets handled week for Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I'm wondering the over-under on Kermit the Frog pictures around the facilities this week for Mahomes. But what do you think happens there in Vegas this weekend?
Ugly, dominant win. I think the Chiefs are sick of, the last team to beat them, right? And, I think the Raiders aren't going to be afraid, but they have a lot of reasons to be afraid. This is a team that's going nowhere fast. So maybe not ugly in this. I don't think the Chiefs are going to put up 40 because they probably don't have the horses to do so right now. But if you told me this game was 28-2, maybe 28-3, I'll grant you that. This sort of screams that kind of game with Gardner Minshew under center.
I like the idea of 28-2. I like the idea of
28-2. Yeah, why
that
not?
Score.
Yeah, they
you know what?
Just like one mercy safety late in the game.
I'm writing you down for 28-2. just for S's and G's.
Why not? Yeah.
Down there. Odds are. What are the odds of you getting the exact score right anyway? Like, come on. Like,
God, that would be
how often does that happen? Field Yates from ESPN NFL Insider. Field, you are the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. Enjoy the football, and we will talk next week.
Right back to you. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. There's Field Yates joining us. I agree. Ugly, dominant against this Raiders team. That the line is 10. I don't know if it's moved already, but I can't remember what number I got it at when that video came out. I got to go back and look. Because as soon as the video came out, we joked about it, and I went and bet on an alternate line of like the Chiefs minus 10.5, and that ended up being like plus 200 or something like that. And now like minus 10.5 is going to be like, minus 115 or something for this team. So we'll see. But yeah, ugly, dominant win. I can see that happening. And they've got issues. The Raiders do. They trade Devontae Adams. Wilkinson is on Christian Wilkins is on the IR. Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback they went with when they benched Gardner Minshew, is now on the IR. They're going back to the quarterback that they've already benched. And I'm assuming Antonio Pierce will probably just kick a field goal or punt when it comes time to aggressive or not. Ooh, man, this is such a difficult question. Should I be aggressive or should I be conservative? Aggressive, conservative, aggressive. You know what? I'm going to go conservative on this one. Okay, you went the conservative route. Did you win? We did not. All right, here's another chance, Antonio. Aggressive, conservative. Aggressive, conservative. Ooh, aggressive, conservative. I'm going to go conservative. Conservative. Did you win? You did not. All right, one more chance. You got another one. I know you played 7 games, but here's
like
another
one. Pick Your Journey board games.
That's exactly. Aggressive, conservative.
Well, did he leave his hand on the page? Because I think you can.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Aggressive, conservative. Man, the last 2 didn't work out, but that's really in my conservative. Let's see what happens. Did you win? No, you did not.
At least he's consistent, though.
No doubt.
Right? It's not Brandon Staley.
Wrong.
But here, you know what his thought process probably is? Losing by 8.
Don't lose by too much.
Well, yeah, losing by 8 looks a lot worse than losing by 5.
Yeah, well.
And they spin that to Davis.
Yeah, and maybe in one of those 3 games that they ended up losing, had they made a different decision at that time, maybe they win one of them. Instead of being 0-3, maybe they're 1-2. Week 1 against the Chargers, they're down by 6 in the fourth quarter, 7 minutes to go. It's 4th and 1 at the Chargers' 40-yard line. And they punt. Down by 6.
Oof.
The Chargers then scored a touchdown on the next drive to go up 22-10. And that was the final. They got the ball back. The Raiders did get the ball back. They just got the ball back at the 30-yard line, down 12. Instead of 4th and 1, down 6, 7 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, and you punt. And then in week 5 against Denver, 10-10, second quarter, 4 minutes to play or so. 4th and 1 from the Denver 40-yard line. In the Denver territory again, punt. Denver goes and gets a field goal right before half. And then they end up winning the game. By a lot, by the way. It got ugly later on in that game, but again, conservatives 10-10. Oh, I don't want to give them a shorter field for a field goal. I better punt this away. It's 10-10. We're in this game. We don't want to go and play this like we want to be aggressive and be the better team. And then, of course, yesterday, 4th and goal at the 4. Let's go for it. Down by 8. 3 and change left. False start. 4th and goal at the 9. Ooh, now we got to kick a field goal because we were going to get it's 4th and goal from the 4. Totally right move. 4th and goal at the 9. Oh, the entire math has changed. The entire math has changed. Now it's better to kick the field goal to be down 5, to have 3 timeouts and have the Rams with the ball up 5, and then 3 timeouts, and then a touchdown wins the game. A touchdown wins the game. Or we go for it, and maybe we get it, and we score a touchdown, and we get a 2-point conversion, and we tie the game. And then the Rams have the ball, and you still have 3 timeouts in 3 minutes. Or maybe you get a touchdown, and you don't get the 2-point conversion. Now you're down by 2. But guess what? You still have 3 timeouts and 3 minutes to play with the Rams with the ball.
And now a field goal still wins it.
Field goal wins it. Or, at worst case, you don't pick up the touchdown. Now you've got 3 timeouts and 3 minutes to play, and the Rams have the ball at their own 9. Still needing a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Instead, kicking the field goal, well, now the Rams have the ball at the 30 and feel a little bit easier about, well, we can run different things here. And the Raiders get the ball back down 5 with a minute to play, and you're toast. At that point, you're done. And
I love having bad head coaches in the AFC West. It's just enjoyable.
You've had 3 chances to make an aggressive move. All 3 times you've gone conservative, and you've lost the game. Imagine doing that this weekend. Imagine them having the ball first because, they will. It's the Chiefs kickoff. It's what happens. Imagine getting the ball first and having like a 4th and 1 at the Chiefs' 40-yard line. Does Antonio Pierce go for it or does he punt it? I mean, because you can't beat the Chiefs that way, but can you stay in a closer game that way? Maybe. You can stay closer. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to put up 35 points. They can't even put up 28 points. They finally put up 28 points for the first time in like how many games?
No, we're forgetting, though. Antonio Pierce has the recipe for beating the Chiefs.
Jordan rules this week. Jordan rules this week, baby. The Jordan rules. They have figured it out. They have cracked the code. They are the last team to beat the Chiefs, which means they are the next team to beat the Chiefs. It'll get handled when it gets handled. Jordan rules. All that talk. What a disaster of a franchise. But thank you. I appreciate the Raiders being the Raiders. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Andy Reid next. Thank you to Field Yates. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Right now, let's hear from the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid. 6-0 Kansas City Chiefs. They knock off the 49ers 28-18. Here is Andy Reid in his opening statement at the press conference getting ready for the Raiders.
Two different things there. As far as the game goes, I liked what I saw as far as just the team effort. All three phases contributed. We've got some things we can obviously work on both sides of the ball, special teams wise, likewise. But there were some real positives that we can take out of the game. We rushed, obviously for a lot of yards offensively. Defensively, a strong offense. We were able to hold them in their rush yards and hold them relatively, and likewise in the pass game with the 3 turnovers. That was big. And then special teams wise, McCool had again a nice return there. Our Ariza was really punting the ball well, field position wise. I thought was a positive. I thought defensively, Chris Jones just, as he's done every game, has just been really a dominant force. And people know that. I mean, the Raiders will know it too. They played against him before. So, but this guy is playing at that MVP level, defensive MVP level. So. He takes a lot of pride in being the best, and right now he's doing that. He's showing that. So offensively, again, there were some good individual things that took place. With Kareem and the other running backs, I thought really ran hard. Pat had some big time runs for us. Pass game, we got to get a couple things worked out. But we'll get that taken care of. Kelsey had another productive game, as did Noah, and that combination was good for us yesterday as we went through the game. So again, all in all, and both lines, I thought on both sides of the ball did a nice job, and that is really where everything starts, and your production starts on both sides. It makes the secondary and linebackers look well on the defensive side. It makes the receivers, tight ends, and running backs look good on the offensive side.
They did what they had to do, and it was a team effort. Defensively, they were really good, as Andy Reid was talking about there, and Patrick Mahomes and the way that he played. Juju Smith-Schuster will not be playing this weekend. You hear that pretty quickly. Andy Reid ruling him out. That nobody thought Jalen Watson was going to be playing this weekend. So hearing that Jalen Watson, not going to be playing, but Juju probably not happening this week. So that hamstring injury that he hurt last week in practice on Thursday, back to practice on Friday, healthy enough to play, and then goes down after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 snaps?
7 snaps.
7 snaps, whatever it was in the game. And now it looks like it's going to be a longer injury. And that was, again, the concern with Juju is that, all right, well, no, Juju's taking those receivers. Like Juju had 130 yards receiving. Yeah, but he's often injured. And those soft tissue injuries and the hamstring, you typically get healthy after the bye week, and the Chiefs got more injured because of Juju going down and now losing Jalen Watson. They have been a mash unit so far, this team has, and they have been hit hard at the wide receiver spot, and they got to figure out something there. Andy Reid was asked how they're utilizing Kelsey as a blocker this year.
Yeah, he's so willing to do that. He just wants to win is what he wants to do, and make sure that we're doing well offensively. He's not selfish that way. He just wants to be in there, right? He wants to be in and playing, and as a result, if you take out the offensive lineman, the pitcher, he's always one of the top play per game guy, and that's him. And he prepares that way during the week. He busts his tail during the week. So, and part of that's the run game, and he makes sure that he stays on top of that.
And then secondly, considering Juju's injury, how much has there been a discussion about elevating one of the guys on the practice squad, whether that's Nico Remigio, Justin Ross, just where have they progressed from the last time we saw them, obviously during the preseason?
Yeah, really all those guys on the practice squad, we've got a lot of trust. So, and feel good about, and we've talked about it a little bit. I'm going to get with Veach here after we're done, and we'll go through everything. So, but I just came out of an offensive meeting and had a chance to talk to those guys and see what their thoughts were. We'll see. I haven't had a chance to really get with Veach on it.
Andy, do you think guys on your practice squad are better than Sky Moore? And his answer would be, obviously not, or they'd be playing over Sky Moore.
Is George Pickens better than Sky Moore?
Stop.
Well, see, Sky does a lot of the little things.
Yeah, but if you don't trade down, you don't get Darian Kennard. So I got to think about that, too.
You're right.
Veach has killed the draft, so it's all good.
I know. I kid.
I know. It's all good. If they thought somebody on the practice squad was better than Sky Moore, they'd been playing.
Yep.
If they thought he was, if they thought that player was better than Sky, I would like to see that. Give him a chance. I'd like to see what happens. I'd like to see somebody on the practice squad with the chance to catch that ball that Sky Moore did not catch. And he went down and got it. I'm like, wow, it's a nice play from Sky Moore. Then they showed the replay, and I'm like, oh, that's an expected play from Sky Moore. That's what made it surprising, is that he caught the ball. Tom Brady showing the replay of Justin Watson reaching up and grabbing the ball was not a surprise that he caught it.
Yeah. So actually, funny little story. Me and Lebo were watching it before the post-game show, and I thought the first catch was Justin Watson, and it was Sky Moore, and then I got fooled thinking a spectacular catch by Justin Watson was Sky Moore, and Lebo then said, why would you ever think that was happening?
Dumbass.
Yeah,
You thought that great catch, reaching up and doing that, was Sky.
I got fooled.
Your head is in the clouds thinking it's Sky. That was dumb. Andy Reid continued with his press conference. Matt Derrick asked Andy to expand on Chris Jones' play and what it would mean for him to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, everybody goes off of sacks. I mean, that's, you kind of know that. They look at sacks first, but what he does in the run game and the pass game, to me, is what constitutes somebody for that spot. And he's done this over and over a number of years here, and he's been close to the number of votes in that award with Aaron. But it's now. The thing that's amazing is here he is at this age and being paid what he's being paid, and the Joker just comes out and goes 100 miles an hour every play that he's in, pass and run, and he's dominant at that. And he's everybody's target. He'll be the Raiders' target this week from an offensive standpoint. But he works through that, and Joe Cullen helps him with that. Spags helps him with that. But the kid's there every day, and then every week, and so I get to see that.
And then with some of the rookies, we saw a little bit more from Jaden Hicks, and obviously Chris Rowland-Wallace had to play a bigger role yesterday. How much of the management of some of this rookie class and these younger guys has been with the understanding and expectation that you're going to play a 20-21 game season and wanting to make sure they don't hit that rookie wall?
Yeah, there is a rookie wall that the guys can hit at times. We try to manage that the best we can. We've had pretty good success with it with the young guys, where we can kind of get them through that phase. But the guys they're working hard. They're contributing in the games, and then. We'll just, as the college season goes on, you start getting around that bowl time and guys, that's when they go, oh, geez, we still have 7 games left or 6 games left. And That's kind of where you gotta look at. But we try to do a good job working them through all that.
They'll have to step up a little bit more. I mean, Roland Wallace is going to have to play more. Jaden Hicks maybe having to play more. I mean, Justin Reed left the game because of an injury for a little bit, and Jaden Hicks came in and got an interception. I mean, good for him, right place, right time. Also, credit to George Karlaftis with one amazing pressure. I mean, the pass rush move to spin back to the inside, to put the hand on Brock Purdy as he was throwing the football, and then Jaden Hicks had to catch the ball. But, a couple of great plays there, but he steps in for Justin Reed, right place, wrong time. George Karlaftis, team game, gets the, hit on Purdy, hits his arm, ball flutters out, Hicks catches it.
I was going to say, one, Karlaftis' best game of the season for him by far. This was nice to see. And two, with Chris Jones, I looked it up just to see how much, pressure he's put on quarterbacks. He has 30 pressures in 6 games. He's averaging 5 pressures a game.
Getting double teamed.
It's insane.
Yeah. The double team rate for Chris Jones is ridiculous.
Second most of any interior defensive lineman as a heads
Not a
up.
surprise. I'm surprised it's not the most. Nick Jacobs asked Andy Reid how they seem to have a knack of playing well in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Nick, I think it starts with your locker room, your coaches, and just how do the guys like each other, like playing together, and then that whole trust thing that they develop with each other, I think, is important. Everything's not going to be roses when you're playing. You're going to have ups and downs in games. Very few teams go and win every game during a season. So you literally take it game by game and make sure you're taking care of business this week. And but I think the locker room has a big part of that. The coach's attitude with everything has a big part of that.
And then lastly, for you guys all getting together Friday night to be able to go watch high school football and everything, for you kind of on the sidelines, is there times where you're kind of looking at something as a play caller and seeing some of that? And what did it mean to you to see Tate be able to throw that game-winning throw there in the final 10 seconds?
Yeah, how about him, man? Gee, man, both those guys, gee, and playing opposite each other, that was something. And they're both great kids. So, Tate's a gamer, and he's been that since he was a little shooter, and now KU is going to get a good player, from all this, and it was great. That was a big game for both teams, and they love playing against each other. So it was great to have all the support out there, and it was hard for all of us to, you can't root for one side. You've got to go right down the middle because these kids have been at our training camp. We all love them. So they've worked our training camps, and you get to know them, and they're fighting their tails off to beat up on each other a little bit.
I don't know. It seems like the defense is rooting for Dawson Merritt and the offense is rooting for Tate Nagy. I don't know. Maybe he says they don't. Maybe he doesn't feel that way. Mahomes and Brittany made it out to the game too on Friday night. Andy Reid continued, and Pete Sweeney asked about what they've seen from Najee Johnson that gives them confidence he can step in with Jalen Watson out.
Yeah, Pete, every week he's gotten better and stronger, and so that's the main thing. He's a good player. It's that he has the confidence in his leg, and the leg's strong, and that just happens by playing. So every week it's been a positive going forward, and he's ready for the spot. And Two's also been in there. He's done it, and so he knows what it takes. And 2 different body types, and we'll need both of them. And they both need to step up. Watson was having a heck of a year, so. Now it's these guys have an opportunity here to step in and do the same.
Yeah, Coach, maybe a follow-up on the culture you guys have built. Mentioned Travis willing to block and Chris going 100 miles an hour on everything. Patrick seems to be driven by wins more than anything. I guess just how unique is it to have your best players seemingly be unselfish, and kind of what that means to the culture of your team as you get through a long season?
Yeah, Todd, you're around these guys, so you know this, but that's the way they operate. I think that's positive. That's a positive culture to have. and then the end result helps too, that you are winning, and that helps. So, and how you kind of handle the highs and lows are the important thing. That'll carry you through the whole season. If you can handle the lows like you're handling the highs, well, that's a plus. So you got to stay driven to do that in either case. And so far that's been the guy's approach and the coach's approach.
I mean, they've found a way to find guys, put them in a spot, and they go out there and perform. And that is absolutely what goes on in the locker room. And it started with the hiring of Andy Reid and John Dorsey, and then eventually to Brett Veach, but the coaching staff as well. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo coming in, Dave Merritt, those assistant coaches, Matt Nagy, Eric Bieniemy, Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, like all of that. And then, of course, those players that have been around, the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. You got two guys on the offensive side, and you got Chris Jones on the defensive side. Justin Reed coming in helped. Tyrann Mathieu, and Frank Clark, coming in helped change the culture around the Chiefs. Justin Reed joining what was a changed culture around the Chiefs from what it was defensively in 2018 with Bob Sutton. And some of those veteran players that they eventually decided it's time to turn the page and go a different route. And they did. And they've gone a different route offensively. And they have found ways to win and win and win. They've won 2 Super Bowls, and now they're undefeated. And they've won 12 straight games, whether by one score or not. They finally had their streak of 16 straight regular season games, losing the turnover battle or not winning the turnover battle, broken this weekend because they were +1 in the turnovers, 3-2. So they finally had that 16-game stretch of not winning the turnover battle broken.
That is insane.
16 straight regular season games. They did not win the turnover battle, the Chiefs. By the way, they went 11-5 in those games by not winning the turnover battle.
Any other team goes 5-11 tops.
Well, there is a stat that it's the longest streak since the Browns in 2016 and 17 had 17 straight, and they went 0-17. The Houston Oilers in 1972-73 had 20 straight, and they went 1-19. The Chiefs went 11-5. Andy Reid continued, and Seren asked about adjusting during the game with some of these injuries.
Yeah, Seren, the coaches, I think, do a good job with rotating guys in during practice, making sure that everybody knows everybody's spot and that you can function. And so yesterday was smooth. Connor's got a big part of that on his plate because he does all the substitutions, and trying to get everybody in on time and moving around is not an easy task. And when people go down, so but he did a good job the last couple of weeks with that, just making sure things ran smooth. The calls were easy, personnel wise, getting them in, and I give him most of the credit there.
And then for a follow-up, I know you ended up getting an interception, getting the ball right back, but just, what goes into the conversation? I know Dave's in charge of the special teams, but when you decide to do a fake punt, how much of that is, something you figured out during the week, and how much of that is something that maybe you guys are spotting something in game when you decide to make that call?
Yeah, that one we thought we had something there, and David practiced it this week, and I was aware of it, and he made me aware of it during the game, and so I was aware that it was going to take place with a certain look, and they gave us a look, and we got to do a little better job executing it, but trying to stay aggressive, especially against that crew there. They're a good football team, so.
Yeah, I had the reaction that I think a lot of people had, which was if you're going to go for it, just leave your offense out there and go for it.
Bingo.
And they got the look they wanted, but the 49ers were not fooled. I mean, on the snap, they were, there was no dropping back by any of the guys that were in the second level of the 49ers. They were all coming forward. So maybe they were going for the punt block. But whatever it might have been, there was nobody fooled on that particular play. They didn't even gain a yard. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling, wrap up this hour. Mick Schaefer joins us in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best, all still to come here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. State, Mizzou, all winners this weekend. K-State, KU coming up on Saturday. That is a 10.5-point favorite for Kansas State right now. 7 o'clock on ESPN2 there in Manhattan. Mizzou heading down to Cornell. Let me tell you about Alabama. They are 14-point dogs. 2:30 on ABC. Mizzou and Roll Tide. So we'll see what happens with that. And the Chiefs heading to Vegas. But we'll get mixed thoughts on Chiefs 49ers.
You got to keep Jackson?
That's specifically it. It's very limited.
Pretty good.
Cornell. Let me tell you about Alabama. That's it. That's I can't do anything else.
It's also vaguely Chili Peppers. Vaguely Anthony Kiedis.
Sure. Pressure hitting the hand of Brock Purdy for Jaden Hicks' interception. So a big day for George Karlaftis. Yeah, they had George Karlaftis accounted for on that play with 2 guys to block him. Those guys' feet connected and they both fell. And George Karlaftis went around and then sacked Brock Purdy. The other one on the pass rush was that great spin move back to the inside. But, that's Tom Brady saying, like, Kyle Shanahan, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Not playing good football is what you're doing.
Every time the 49ers turned it over, I just imagined George Kittle was on the field saying, "Hey, George," to George Karlaftis.
Hey, George.
Because the worst things always happen, then turnovers happen. So I bet he was being cute and corny on the field. We'll see if he was mic'd up.
The McCaffrey fumble in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, George. Excuse me, I'm going in.
Yes,
I'm going to go
There's a
recover this
ball right
fumble.
behind you. I'm going to grab.
Recover this fumble there, buddy, but I'll talk to you later.
Cutesy, though. It's going to be great, though. It's going to be great on the mic'd up. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, we're playing in the biggest game of our lives, so I'm not really trying to be buddy-buddy here. So.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I know your name is George, but, like, here's what's crazy is, like, I've met other guys named George, too, so it's like,
Probably not that age. George is really just an older man name.
Yeah, my uncle, who's like 70, 65-ish. Yeah,
he's still one of the youngest Georges out there.
Yeah, we don't make any more Georges?
Not too many.
We're not making any more
Eddie
Georges.
George. I remember Eddie
That's
George.
a last name.
Although when McDuffie's running your routes for you, it is cool. His last name is a cool name, and you see it a lot. So he
McDuffie?
did. I agree with George when he told McDuffie had a cool last name during the Super Bowl. But that's probably because he was looking at his nameplate a lot because McDuffie
exactly right.
was covering everyone so
He was
well.
already doing what he was just like in the game there, even with the pass interference that he got, he was like already in the spot to where the guy was running to.
He's
and
like,
it's
I'm here already. I knew where you were going.
Hit me.
What do you think about that? You think that was a PI or that's a little ticky-tack?
I think the Georgia, Texas officials would have thrown a flag and then picked it up.
And then actually went back and dropped the flag again. But then decided to pick it up yet again before they eventually figured out what the right call was, depending on whose sideline they were on.
It was the right call. I don't know if that's allowed in the rules, what they did there.
Depending on whose sideline it's on. It's sort of just...
you think the 49ers fans then would have thrown trash? I would say that, but Brock Purdy was actually... Trash
already
was
throwing
already
trash.
He was already on the field.
He was already on the field. Yeah,
he was already throwing trash, is what he was doing. The Chiefs go there and they win by 10 points, even with garbage time touchdown by Brock Purdy and his quarterback sneak to make it 28-18.
It could have got interesting there had they got the 2-point conversion and they would have done an onside kick, which is why I was like,
I don't know. That was a pretty badass onside kick. It's one of the coolest onside kicks I've ever seen.
I thought it was maybe intentional to where, like, okay, we're going to get these guys to try to jump on it, and it's going to spin out, and we're going to recover. But I don't think
I like all the Chiefs players just watched it and looked around like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Is this here? I mean, obviously we're not going to go and touch that. It hasn't gone 10 yards, but this is really happening right now. It's just spinning right there. All right, cool. Let's just walk off the field then. I've never seen a worse onside kick ever. It went 4 yards.
By the way, there was a lot of money implications on that 2-point conversion because if they would have gone for an extra point, under hits, right? They missed it. The under hits. It was 47.5. Ended at 46. If they got that 2-point conversion.
Yeah, there was no reason to go for the extra point there.
Exactly. So I, as a man who had the under, was all of a sudden just extremely nervous.
What about, Andy Reid should have gone for 2 that final touchdown to make it a 17-point game. 3 possessions. It is garbage time then. It is over at that point.
Yeah, but they still got the extra point, so that still would have been the under.
Yeah, but he's not talking about from a betting standpoint. He's just talking about winning the game and putting the game out of reach. Either you're up by 15 or 17.
I get
up by 16, it's still a 2-possession game.
Basically the same as 15.
Up by 15, it's a 2-possession game. Up by 17, the ball game is absolutely
agreed.
Onside kicks.
I agree with you.
But what about your betting?
Pointing at we nailed it, under hit. I'm just saying for everyone out there who that made the game a little more interesting, I think, for some folk because of that.
I was thinking
score.
like, okay, so what it was? It wasn't that like the Chiefs were underdogs, like they were going to win the game, but I didn't realize the
as
the
the man
total.
who parlayed the Chiefs money line with the under. Got a little nervous there.
This is surprising. Chiefs are not underdogs this weekend. They are the favorites.
Weird.
Real surprise.
The Kermit the Frog Puppet Bowl.
It gets handled when it gets handled week.
Yes.
It'll get handled when we're 6 days away from it getting handled. Also, they got the recipe and the Jordan rules. They got Mahomes rules.
They do.
Antonio Pierce, they got the recipe for the Chiefs. They got the Mahomes rules.
They don't have
this
a quarterback,
week.
but they do have those rules.
Doesn't matter. You don't need a quarterback for the Mahomes rules.
I was last night on Sound Off. I asked Seren. We were looking ahead of the game, and he's like, they're just going to roll the Raiders. I'm like, do you say that because this is motivation, the Kermit the Frog, all that? It's going to get handled, He's like, No, just because the Raiders are horrible. That's why I'm saying that.
They're so bad. So bad. Field Yates said it will be an ugly, dominant win for the Chiefs. It'll be ugly. The Raiders are going nowhere fast.
Listen,
he said,
I've seen
28
this
to 2.
before. Okay, yeah.
28 to 2 was his prediction. 28 to 2.
I bet it's single-digit points.
28 to 2 was his prediction.
Is the spread? There's the difference in the game. I've watched a lot of Chiefs football.
28 to 2. He picked. Some random safety.
So he actually picked that.
He picked 28 to 2. He said, I don't know. I think
Mahomes is kneeling it out, and it's just at the 1 yard line.
He said maybe I don't know. Maybe there's like
I don't
he's
think
like
the
Chiefs
Raiders
win
are
like
good enough to get a safety.
It's like the Chiefs win like something like 2 or 3 points. I'm like, you know what? I'm writing you down for 2 just for S's and G's. So he said, you know what? Fine. I said, what are the odds of you getting the score right anyway?
That's got to be a scoregami.
28 to 2.
Scoregami.
That would be, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't even be in a mix where you take like that safety, like in the strategy of we're going to take a safety here to end the game. So, it doesn't matter. That wouldn't even be like it's 28-0. Whatever. No reason to take a safety somewhere along the way. I have no idea. Maybe the Raiders lead 2-0 and Antonio Pierce is like, hey, we're up 2-0. Let's just punt the rest of the game.
We've seen a high snap on a punt this year. Yeah. The Chiefs have. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's it.
By the way, that's how it happens. One of the more under-discussed, and it just made me think of this, under-discussed parts of the Chiefs this year has been Ariza. 63-yard punt to flip the field, and then they had the holding call. So from where the Chiefs punted from to then the 49ers getting the ball at the 9, you're talking about like 78 yards of field position switching. Unbelievable. He's been really good, and it's so under-discussed because the Chiefs are 6-0, and they haven't typically needed a big punt here or there. When they've needed it, they've gotten it from him.
By the way, 28 to 2 is not scoregami.
What? No way. It's happened?
Believe it or not, apparently the Chiefs beat Jacksonville. The Chiefs beat Jacksonville 28 to 2.
Is that 1970 against the Jags?
Jags were not around.
2013.
What? First year of Andy Reid. He won 28 to 2
against Gus Bradley. Yeah, first quarter is 14-2. And the Chiefs won 28 to 2. First play of the game, or first score of the game was a safety.
Like I said, Raiders going
Jacksonville
up 2-0.
went up 2-0, and then Tamba Hali had a 10-yard interception return in the game. Jamal Charles touchdown. Donnie Avery, as well as Junior Hemingway, scored a touchdown in that game. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
And that's the only time it's happened is 28-2?
That's what it looks like. The only time it's happened was 22, and the Chiefs were involved.
I can't believe Field picked a cliched score like that.
Junior, yeah. I mean, 28 to 2. Let's go.
It's been done, Field.
I'm going to go 27-24. I'm going to go right around that. I'm going to 28-21.
I can count by 3s and 7s.
Yeah, it's 28-21.
There have shockingly been more than I thought teams that have.
There's one. That's one more than I thought, at least. So there's more than just that one?
No, but like 27-2's happened, 31-2, 34, 35, 37. Like, I'm shocked by these numbers.
Yeah, that is pretty surprising.
That might be the most recent one, though, was in the 2013.
Do you think it'll get handled when it gets handled?
I think it'll get handled when it's getting handled.
When it gets handled. I have a feeling, it doesn't mean they're going to convert on those, but the Chiefs tried on 2nd and goal from the 1 to hit Mecole Hardman with that pass. Mecole slipped. Mahomes said, if I'd have waited a little bit longer, I had the crossing route coming wide open, it would have been a touchdown pass.
Did he say it was that Tom and Jerry? Or a variation
he said it was variation.
Yeah.
It was just close.
It looked a little different.
Yeah, because the Tom and Jerry was actually a middle screen to Jerick McKinnon. This was just, I'm going to take the snap and hit Mecole Hardman there with that that motion, the more like corn dog motion.
Yeah, corn dog.
But they tried to get that passing touchdown for Mahomes. I think there'll be more of that against the Raiders. I think they'll try to have some numbers for Mahomes in this game for passing touchdowns. If they get down inside the 2-yard line, there might be a few different plays.
Get his head above water, above his interception total.
Just to put the numbers on the Raiders. Just to put it on the Raiders with the Mahomes rules and the Kermit the Frog and all of those things.
Well, they have a back and maybe 2 now that can get you short yardage at the goal line. So maybe no need to do that.
I don't think there is need to do it. I think in the past it almost felt like there was a need to do it because they couldn't pick up those short yardage situations. Now they can. Now I feel like it's 4th and 1, 3rd and short, goal to go at the 1 or 2 yard line. Like, run it, hand it off, which is why I didn't want them to the fake punt made no sense because if I want to go for it, I'm kicking ass between the tackles. I'm moving teams, and the 49ers are not great between the tackles. Their defensive tackles and linebackers aren't great. They were a little bit better at stopping the run in general with Kareem Hunt than I thought they would be.
I don't know how that fake punt doesn't just get called off. Right? I mean, I don't know
when
how
everybody's there at the line of
you don't
scrimmage.
check out of that. I mean,
He
just
said it
look
was
at the numbers right away.
He said
It's
they got
almost
the
like
look.
They
They got the look we were looking for.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm look for a different one then. Find a different look. I don't know. Quit, going to what was it? Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. Yes.
Find a different look. Turn a different way. It's not just Blue Steel all the time. Do you think the urgency is heightened now? Juju Smith-Schuster is out this weekend. Andy Reid. I said in the previous hour, Mick, if there was somebody on the practice squad that the Chiefs liked more than Sky Moore, he would be playing more than Sky Moore, no matter what our thoughts of Sky Moore are. But, man, that sense of urgency and a little bit more of feeling of dire straits is heightening in that front office, right, with the wide receivers. Because,
I mean, I guess.
Justin Watson and Scott.
Three straight years of us asking this question every week.
But they had Rashee Rice last year, though. I mean, they had Juju the year before. They had Rashee Rice last year. Like, they've had a couple of guys they can go to. This is the worst it's ever been. Like, I truly believe this is the worst it's ever been.
It has, but then now you have what, 2 tight ends getting more snaps than the top receiver? Maybe it was one, but the other one was right below.
Yeah.
I think Gray was right below.
Gray had 66 yards. He led.
No, I'm saying snaps.
Sorry,
Snaps.
Yeah.
Kelsey had the most. I think it was, who would it have been?
Watson led at 73%, I think.
Yeah, and then right below that was Gray, and then a couple more tight ends after that, in Fortson and Wiley. I think it's, yes, you need warm bodies in that room. I know there's probably a ton of stuff we don't know about Sky Moore and Remigio and Justin Ross as it pertains to their abilities on the field, both good and bad, and why that hasn't happened. I think we will get to know one of them this week, Remigio. But I'm not panicking at all.
Yeah, I'm not panicking either. I just wonder, like,
this is a run the football, stop the run team now. This is the '90s Chiefs with the greatest quarterback who's ever
Somebody
lived.
earlier said this is Marty Ball.
It
only
is.
They can win because they've got a great quarterback and a great kicker.
Yeah, because they have a quarterback that makes is a threat to do. I mean, yesterday was just the craziest dichotomy of Mahomes' box score and then watching Mahomes, who threw out just 4 or 5 just magical plays.
Dude, I said the same thing, and I appreciated last night. A lot of times opposing fans, mainly in the city of Buffalo and Cincinnati, will look at Mahomes' numbers or look at the game and be like, "Oh, Mahomes he's a system quarterback. Josh Allen's better. Joe Burrow's better. Look at all the interceptions he throws in the playoffs." But anyway, that the 49ers fans, so a couple of super fans, 49ers super fans, after the game was over, there was a little bit of this is more taking a shot at Brock Purdy. But the theme was, if you look at the box score and think that Mahomes is bad, you didn't watch the game. That game, you saw the difference between a quarterback that wins Super Bowls and one that couldn't figure out how to get his team over the hump and do the. And I'm like, dude, I thought the same thing, but that's from a Chiefs perspective. I'm watching it specifically covering the Chiefs. To see it from the other side, where you've got people that have, massive amounts of followers of, 49ers that are saying, there's no way you can watch that game and not tell me that the box score is all that, and tell me the box score is all that matters for a quarterback play.
I mean, both those Super Bowls, if you went up and down the roster, 49ers probably have the better roster both times, right? Except at quarterback, and it's just been it was a massive gap between Purdy and Mahomes and Garoppolo and Mahomes.
By the way, Drake texted and said there was a season the Chiefs, no wide receiver caught a touchdown. That was the worst. I mean, the worst with Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst receiving core. They traded Tyreek Hill, but they had, Juju was there. MVS was better at that particular time. And last year, Rashee Rice came on strong, and he was a legit receiver last year with Kelsey. Now it's Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy.
Maybe it's like I'm not reacting to the Smith-Schuster injury because I never thought of him as a number 1 or even number 2 guy. I thought of him as just a guy Mahomes turned into, and I think there's going to be other guys on that roster that he can turn into. Right, he can make Worthy be the leading receiver next week. Hell, he could do Justin Watson, right? It could be that guy. I think he can. Wherever you're at, I know I'm kind of ranking him like starting pitching, but if you're number 1, number 2, or number 3 guy, if you're number 4, Mahomes can make you a 2. If you're a 3, he can make you a 1. He can take you up a couple pegs, right? And so,
what about Sky Moore? Is he like a 9 and he's moved him up to a 7?
Yeah, I think he's a PWO in college that he's made him like a 6.
He's a PS guy that he's turned into an active roster guy.
No, I feel for Sky Moore. I know it tries hard, and I'm sure he's pressing, and I'm sure he hears a lot of this, and the few looks he gets per game, if any, and you don't capitalize it, it stinks, right? So you're a pinch hitter, you come in, you strike out, like, all right, maybe in a week I'll get back in the game. And so, but hey, maybe the hand is forced now. But I absolutely mark it down right here, record it. No, don't do that. But Mahomes could turn Sky Moore into a 100-yard receiver guy in a game.
All right, we'll take a timeout. And
I'm making a note.
Mick Schaefer
right
says Sky Moore will have 100 yards receiving again this year.
God, that'd be great if it happened, right?
You want to bet on that?
Huh?
You want to bet on that?
No.
So you don't have any gumption.
I don't? Why not? Did you say something that bold?
What's my point?
Oh, so you bet on every point you make?
No,
every bold point you put money on?
I would at least believe it.
I believe it.
Oh, if you believe it, then let's throw something on it. Oh, that doesn't be much. Coffee.
No.
Throw coffee on it.
That's dumb.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We got Learn Funniest.
You don't think Mahomes could get Sky Moore to 100 yards? Why do you hate Mahomes? You don't think he could get him to 100 yards in a game? If that was the goal, you don't think Mahomes could do that?
I don't think Sky could do it. I don't have any issue with Mahomes doing it. Mahomes is Mahomes.
Oh, man, no. Absolutely. He absolutely could.
Am I taking crazy pills?
The problem is Sky Moore has to catch the ball.
Yes.
Mahomes can't throw it and catch it.
It was a tough catch yesterday. Very tough catch.
Yeah. They all seem to be tough catches for him. kitchen or bathroom and kitchen. Upgrade that kitchen. Hey, you got an upgrade on a kitchen yet? If you don't, check out Citywide Remodelers. Tell them Sports Radio 810 sent you. CitywideRemodelers.com. All right, what we learned from the weekend, funniest from the weekend, and best from the weekend. What I learned from the weekend is sometimes you can defend a friend, a colleague, a little too much. That maybe every once in a while it is okay just to give a canned answer, just to give the, quote, coach speak or player speak. It's clip number 16 there, Dylan. This is Myles Garrett after the game yesterday, in case you have not heard this or seen this. Deshaun Watson carted off with a torn Achilles. Terrible. Why can't good things happen to good people? Carted off with a torn Achilles, Deshaun Watson, and fans there in Cleveland booed as he was being carted off. Weird. Now they're not fans of Deshaun Watson. That's odd. Defending him for a while. But here's Myles Garrett weighing in after the game. His thoughts on fans booing Deshaun Watson.
Whether it's an opponent that goes down or one of our own, we don't boo. We don't boo the guys that are injured on the field, especially, with the extent where the card comes out. We should be ashamed of ourselves, as Browns and as fans to boo anyone and their downfall. Could be season-altering, career-altering injury. Man, it's not perfect. He doesn't need to be. None of us are expected to be perfect. Can't judge him for what he does, off the field or on the field, because I can't throw stones from my glass house. But we need to do better. We need to do better on the football field, and we need to do better as fans for having some empathy for a man who's doing the best he can and did the best he can up to this point. And we have to be better.
What does that make you? Does that alter your opinion of Browns fans?
Ultimately, everyone is human, and they're disappointed just like we are. But we have to be better than that as people. There's levels to this. At the end of the day, it's just a game. No one deserves that. I've seen him work his ass off to, get back in here and put a smile on his face and, try to put everything that's outside the facility behind him. Death threats, people come to his house, people, going after his family. Like I said, no one deserves that. And I hate using the word deserves. I'm usually, pretty consistent saying earned. He hadn't earned it, and he doesn't deserve it. Man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros. He plays the game as hard as anyone I've seen. Puts everything on the line, willing to throw his body out there, and he plays the game at 100 miles per hour, and there's a risk of being injured, and that he took that risk. But we have to be there for him as a team, as an organization. We can't look down on the guy because of any mistakes on the field or anything off the field. We don't have anything. We don't have any more high ground to look down on the guy.
Is it still going? Can this stop?
He could have stopped at about 20 seconds.
And been great.
Would have been
and
we don't boo.
Great point. We don't boo. I don't care who you are. I mean,
don't
you're
boo.
cheering for him one second, and then now you right. And I'm like, what's wrong with this bite? And then it went on. It kept going.
Got to have empathy for him. He's doing the best he can. The guy's done everything right
been
since
a model
college.
Citizen,
He's been a model citizen since college. No matter what he's done off the field, nobody can judge him. Nobody has moral high ground over Deshaun Watson and being I kind of feel like I'm everybody's got like something in a glass house to a degree, but being a sexual predator, I feel like there's that you should have moral high ground over.
I feel like some people could have it.
I would guess the four of us have moral high ground in being a sexual predator on Deshaun Watson. I would think that because I don't think he's done everything right off the field. And I don't think what he's done has been nearly has been a model citizen. But you do feel bad for somebody. I mean, got to feel really bad for Deshaun Watson, getting injured like that.
Victim.
So, yeah, absolutely victim. Sterling, what'd you learn?
Yeah, that was wild. Crazy.
20 seconds. End it. stop booing. There we go. Move on.
The only thing that can beat having a six-pack is drinking one.
Oh, that's no, I don't know.
Because
I don't agree with
Mahomes' dad bod,
yeah,
which consumes a lot of Coors Light, destroyed the six-pack that was Mustafa.
That's a good point.
So I've learned that having a six-pack doesn't mean anything. Got to drink it.
You need soft tissue in all sports.
Yes. And also, I will say Mustafa being a great sport afterwards.
That was cool. Yeah.
Just real fun. Just saying, they're cooking me. Or I ain't going to lie, I'm getting cooked.
I'm getting cooked. That was good.
Because he was delivering some hits.
Yeah, and all Chiefs fans were kind of like, you know what? You're a good sport. We like you.
Every player go to school on that. Like, it's over now. You've kind of made fun of yourself. You've laughed at it. Moved on. You haven't.
You had a big hit on Kareem Hunt. You had a big hit on Xavier Worthy. You got a hit big one by Kareem Hunt, or by Patrick Mahomes. It happens. It's football. What'd you learn, Mick?
I learned how to say a lot of Chiefs names, thanks to Tom Brady. Steve Spagnuolo, Juju Schuster. There's no Smith anymore.
Yep.
McCole Hardeman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we've been pronouncing it wrong for a while. And then after the game with Joe Tooney,
I thought the wrong way to say it was Steve Spagnuolo.
No.
In fact, the wrong way to say it is Steve Spagnuolo.
McDuffie called him Steve Spagnolio one time.
I also that Tom Brady said that guy gives me nightmares. Like he was talking about like he was the bane of my existence when he was talking about Steve and still mispronounced the guy.
But then after the game was over, talking with Joe Tooney, he called him Juju Schuster Smith. Juju with get a guy go down, Juju Schuster Smith, gets injured. Like, oh man. All right, what'd you learn, Dylan?
So I learned the MLB tweeted out with the Yankees and Dodgers back in the World Series facing each other. They have not faced each other since 1981. And
did they just tweet out a bunch of eggplant emojis? Is that what Major League Baseball did? Just
no,
Dodgers and Yankees?
That was last night after the NLCS.
Okay.
But they had a list of things that happened in 1981. MTV debuted in 1981 showing music videos 24 hours a day. Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, and Britney Spears were born that year. Tom Cruise, Ben Affleck, and Kevin Costner made their film debuts. And arcade games Donkey Kong, Frogger, and Galaga were released.
Big Frogger and Galaga guy.
Amazing. Funniest, we head to you, Sterling. Funniest from the weekend.
ASU's head coach, Arizona State's
Kenny
head coach.
Dillingham.
Yeah, Kenny Dillingham, and here he is.
One of those, but our kicking game's atrocious. So if you can kick and you're at Arizona State, email me, right? We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. So bring it on, kicking tryouts Monday. Let's go. Yeah, I'm dead serious. We're going to put it out on our social. We're going to have a kicking tryout on Monday. We got to find somebody who can make a field goal. It makes it even harder, like late in games when it's clearly a kick scenario. Like that's when it gets really hard because you're like, it's clearly a kick. Like you definitely want to take points here. There's no doubt in your mind. And he hadn't had a kick this game. He was kicking good pregame, so I felt good about it. But, it is what it is. Like, we got to do a better job getting him in the better mental state to kick. But at the same token, I got to do a job, and I got to get guys on the field that can perform in those situations as well. And, we'll go to work, and we'll get better, and we'll have a tryout and see if somebody's good enough. And if somebody's not, then you know what? Status quo, keep going to work. If somebody is, then, we'll add them to the team and rock and roll from there.
Rock and roll from there. Love it. Great stuff, man. Hey, actually
tryouts, baby.
Tryout, kicking tryout. There you go. What funniest for you, Mick?
Funniest for me was back to Tom Brady, the hologram of Tom Brady. If you saw him on the pregame show on Fox, that was wild that they even tried that, and was so weird. Jimmy Johnson was just so confused. I'm supposed to look right here, this blank spot, and he kept looking back, and then,
Jimmy.
And then the worst part we could obviously tell is when Tom wasn't talking and somebody was talking to him, he's just staring straight at the camera that he's looking at in front of a green screen all the way over there in San Francisco, and he wasn't doing it right, turn to the right or whatever. That was so unnecessary and weird.
Yeah, they should do it more, though.
Should they?
I think they should do it more. Just get more run out of that one. Funniest for you, Dylan?
So the Dodgers did beat the Mets last night, and a lot of Mets fans are taking it pretty difficult. They actually caught a shot of Grimace, one of the many grimaces, taking in the loss. Here's the audio.
Oh, no! Grimace! Grimace is an alcoholic.
Don't do it, big boy! Drink it! Drink!
So basically, it's just a fan in a Grimace outfit drinking a 28-ounce, I think it's a Coors Light. But, yeah, I just found that hilarious. Kevin Burkhardt calling out Grimace. I don't know why.
Well, you could tell he's that. I mean, all that alcohol has gone to his body.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, you can tell.
That is
Right.
true.
I mean, he's got no form whatsoever. No form. There's no hourglass figure. There's nothing like that. Funniest for me was the tweet from Mustafa. So that was my funniest. We talked about that one with the. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting what was it? Cooked.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, getting cooked right now. What was the best for you, Mick? We start with you, best.
Listen, the K-State chapter of Sigma Phi Epsilon, they ended the bags tournament for Dad's weekend after 2 straight years of the Schaefer's taking it down. We didn't lose one match, not even a set, not even a game, right?
Yeah.
And so after 2 years winning that, they made a golf tournament. And the Schaefer's took that one down too. So
what's next?
Maybe next year, senior year, find something we can't do.
The go-kart tournament,
There isn't anything.
So find that horseshoes.
We'll see.
Something like that. I don't know.
No,
a game
probably.
of horse.
I can't think of anything.
Free throw shooting contest.
Say
I'm not
pommel
sure.
horse?
No, just a game of horse.
Yeah, pommel horse.
Pommel horse. Yes, actually,
I don't think
that's
we'll
what
win
it should
at
be. Father-son pommel horse.
Pommel horse.
Maybe add a drinking game to it. I'm not sure. That would be even better. The best for you, Dylan.
Best for me is the Juan Soto interview on the field, talking about his at bat against Gaddis. And I know we all, don't like the Yankees, but I like Juan Soto a lot, and I also like the confidence
one of us.
in this answer. And here it is.
Take me through that at bat. 2 outs, 2 strikes. What was going through your mind?
I mean, I was all over. That was the only thing I was thinking. I was just saying to myself, you all over that guy. You all over that guy. He ain't got anything. And just trying to make a good contact, and I did.
That's not helping my opinion of him.
So I don't know. I think the video MLB posted and his at bats as a whole, how he just kind of never loses eye contact and he has supreme confidence. I've always kind of been a Juan Soto fan.
Yeah, well, he gets out 7 out of 10 times, but he's the greatest.
He won a World Series.
I mean, there
with
should
the
be
Nationals.
a clock for how long to get around the bases on a home run. He wouldn't have
That's
made it
true.
in time for that.
I've never seen somebody mean mug so often on a walk.
Oh
So
God,
great.
I know. Staring down after a strikeout, he gets struck out and he stares down the picture.
My best. It's an easy one for me. Little Man and his prospects team winning the 3-2 Pink Out Fall World Series over the weekend, getting a championship, and their reaction when they found out they weren't just getting trophies, that they got rings.
Yeah, individual stuff is always great.
Individual rings, like they lost their mind, and we played a really good team, and in the top half of the 6th, we had 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs, and our number 2 hitter hits one deep left field, and their left fielder makes a catch, and we're like, well, we're up by 1 going to the bottom half of the in 9-year-old baseball.
One's not much.
One's not much.
Sometimes 5's not much.
And our pitcher on the mound lost it earlier, walks the first 2 guys. So now they got 2nd and 3rd, because that's
Hopefully
how it
that
happens.
pitcher's not listening right now. Oh my gosh.
No, he is. I hope he is. He will. But he walks the first 2 guys, and then he strikes out the next one, right? So you're like, okay, this is a 9-year-old kid. Then he walks the next guy. You got bases loaded, one out. Bases loaded, 1 out.
Up by 1.
And the walks were like 4 pitches. 4 pitches. Up by 1, bases loaded, 1 out.
So do you have Royals? You had Royals pitching for them?
We
Okay.
did. And so a 9-year-old in the championship with bases loaded and 1 out, up by 1, and you've walked the bases loaded 7 straight strikes. And strikes
only
the
need
next
6?
2. There was a foul ball in
Okay.
there. Strikes the next 2 guys out and just goes crazy. I'm like, I have no idea how all of a sudden he got on the mound and just said, bleep it.
It's called Stones, Jason.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, 9-year-old to do that, so shout out.
And so in this tournament at this age on a catcher pass ball, are they allowed to take a base?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there
Okay,
was
so
no
I'm putting
pass
on the
ball.
catcher, too, there.
No pass
Well done.
ball. It was
Well
he
done.
was just pumping in strikes, 7 straight. So Big Bo Hennis coming through. With the whole team, it was awesome getting 3 games in yesterday, but to sit there on the mound all alone, right? You're the pitcher all alone. You've walked 3 guys.
You guys just have one pitcher at a time, so he's all alone?
Yep.
Okay.
All alone. We don't typically have 2 guys out there.
Did you
we play
satchel
real
page
baseball?
it where you had the infield sit down? They come in and sat around the dugout? And
No, we had the infield telling them, hey, be ready to make a play.
Throw home.
But didn't need the infield. We didn't need anybody but the pitcher and the catcher on those because Big Bo was out there on the mound doing his thing. So congratulations to the prospects. And they got rings, which my son took to school today. Cause,
how did they know it's going to fit? Did they measure them? Or
Yeah, we measured them before. We were pretty confident. Going into the tournament. We
They
said
had Juan Soto confidence.
Yeah. But coaches didn't get a ring. I thought that was odd. Best for you, Sterling.
Brady Cook. I don't know if anyone
I don't know why I didn't make that. That should have been my best.
It was amazing.
Dummy.
So we cut out a little audio here, but Brady Cook going to the hospital. At the hospital,
Never heard of this happen before.
They're sitting there, and he's like, I don't know if you can play. He's like, I have 2.5 games left in my college career at Mizzou. I'm bleeping playing. He goes back, leads Mizzou on a 95-yard game-winning touchdown.
Amazing.
They win. Of course, they drop 2 spots in the poll. Doesn't matter. They believe in Brady Cook. I believe in Brady Cook.
Awesome.
And here is Brady Cook.
Come back out, your team down 2 scores. How did you pull off this win?
I don't know. I really don't. That second quarter, I sat in silence and we were figuring out what we had to figure out. And I came back and I just knew we weren't going to lose this game. Not on homecoming, not today, not like this. We weren't going to lose.
You're emotional. What brings you to tears?
Oh, I am emotional. I am. Mizzou means so much to me. The first 6 games, they haven't gone the way I wish they would have in a lot of ways. And to come out here the first drive and get hurt and to be down, to think I'm not going to come back in the game and then find a way. And we just manifested. We get it done. We fight, and we win. It's just, I'm emotional right now.
How were you able to fight and get back into this game?
Shout out to our trainers. But I've played through stuff before. I've been through adversity before, physically, emotionally, mentally. This isn't anything new. It's just another step.
What did you learn about your team today?
I learned that we're going to fight. I learned that my energy, my leadership means something to them. I learned that for sure when I came out in the third quarter. And I learned that they're always going to fight.
Congratulations, Brady. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I needed her to ask, what was the funniest about your team today? What was the best about your team today? 3rd and 7 at their own 22, Mizzou on that last drive. Brady Cook rushed for 14 yards to pick up the first down.
4th and 5, too, he had to convert.
And 3rd and 18 before that. It was 3rd and 18 to 4th and 5, and they converted.
It could have been about 4th and 2, but Luther decided to go backwards a little bit
3rd
there.
and 10, they converted as well.
DeMarcus Robinson's actually what we call
He did.
that.
That's right.
He pulled a D.
Dude, that was. I don't know if I've ever heard of a player, a college player, being in the hospital and coming back.
Get me back out there.
To the same game.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Willis Reed, that was nothing. That was a flesh wound compared to what Brady Cook did. I don't. How do you have the time, even with traffic, even with the sirens, you have the time to get there and back?
It is close to the stadium. It's real close to the hospital.
I'm surprised. Maybe I'm naive on this. I would have thought like every major FBS program would have like an MRI machine or something like that on site.
It literally is really close. Like,
okay,
you can see it from the.
Yeah, it's actually it.
Still.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
The concession
right there.
stand. It was right there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More so next. for you. You just have to work an hour today. Nothing else to do the rest of the day, right? No more work for you?
I can't think of anything.
Your main job is done. Do you have a part-time job that you
do
go
we
to?
have an election coming up? I can kind of take that day off a little bit.
I'd like to take the
A
next
couple Tuesdays off.
I'd like to take the next commercials on TV off until.
Yeah. A couple more weeks of those.
Yes. So can't get here fast enough. Thank you, brother. Program up next.